welcome to our Cheltenham preview night. I'm Paddy Power, and tonight I am joined by Cheltenham's winning most ever jockey, Ruby Walsh. We've got racing TV broadcaster, the superb Lydia Hislop. We've got Group 1 winning trainer and generally great crack, Tony Mullins. Frank's obviously not great crack at all because all he is a super shrewd trader. Our very own Frank Hickey out in the right wing there. Well done. I got some housekeeping to do first. We're obviously going to go over all 28 races at the Cheltenham Festival in chronological order. We will lash through some of them and we'll talk a bit more at more length about other ones. We'll be here for about half an hour each day, ladies and gentlemen, so we have to keep it moving along. But for the housekeeping, first of all, offer. First of all, today we have announced our big Cheltenham offer. We're giving our online customers a £5 free bet for each of the first 3 days of the festival. So 15 quid's worth of free bets. Rewind. Secondly, on Wednesday night we'll be broadcasting our Cheltenham Rewind show with Paul Carberry and Ruby. It's on Virgin Media 2 at 11 p.m. and also on Paddy Power YouTube after that. So don't miss it. It's pretty good. It is pretty good, isn't it, Ruby?
It was good, yeah. It was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the edited version, but to do it was good.
It was.
It was good. Fan Zone, thirdly, anyone around or in or around Dublin next week, if you don't have plans for the two bank holidays, Thursday and Friday, get yourself down to our Cheltenham Fan Zone in the Camden. It's a deadly little sport. Deadly little, it's the biggest sports bar I've ever seen on Camden
and the first
Street.
100 people in each day will get a free ticket for Punchestown.
Well, there you go. Limited numbers of tickets available. Have a look online and go get them. Free-to-play game, nearly there. Keep an eye out for our free-to-play game next week for Cheltenham. It's a Cheltenham Knockout. It's going to be really easy to play, and more importantly, it's really free to play, and you play every day for a chance to win a 50 quid free bet. Details on racingtv.com. And finally, and most importantly, if you're having a bet next week, or any week indeed, please do remember to gamble responsibly. Now on with the show. We're going to try and keep it under half an hour a day. As I said, we'll have a very short break after day 2 as well, and we will be taking questions from the audience and from the viewers, so presumably there are some viewers, so please do comment and send your questions in.
Send them to my Twitter handle.
Yes, Ruby doesn't know his Twitter password, so he's no good to us, but we'll also have some exclusive enhanced prices throughout the show, so be ready for those. Frank, you're in charge of that, because I'll definitely forget to ask you for them, so the enhanced prices and all that. And so without further ado, we kick off with day 1, Supreme Novices Hurdle. Looking forward to the Roar. Tony, you were saying you haven't been there for a couple of years?
Yeah, the year that the COVID broke, I was going for the 3rd and 4th day. Yeah. And when I saw the telly, I just didn't go. Yeah. Then last year I had no runner, so I didn't go again.
Yeah, and you're in 2 minds about which 2 days. You were telling me now you're an old fart. You can only go do 2 days of it.
Yeah, I'm just gone a bit old now for the whole 4 days. The 4 days are easy, it's the 4 nights. We go far.
But listen, I want to start with you on the Supreme, if you don't mind, because I know when we spoke at this event last year, you were going waxing lyrical about Kilcrut, and it was a horse that you're really, really sweet on. Yeah. Didn't win the bumper, but probably, I don't know if it was unlucky, might have been the best horse. Should have won the bumper, probably. Reminds me a bit of Appreciate It the year before. Appreciate It came and absolutely hacked up in the Supreme last year. Can Kilcrut turn it around? He got beat a couple of times over hurdle, but can he turn it around here?
Yeah, but he was impressive. Now, I don't know what he beat in Punchestown, but he was very impressive. So I think, like in his first time out in the bumper, he got beat. First time out in his hurdle, he got beat. He's just maybe a slow learner, but he's a very good horse. And I was surprised that he actually looks more like a 2-mile horse. The way he used to work with me, I thought he was a high cruiser at 2.5 mile. But now he's switching back to the 2 mile, and he's a hell of a horse, but this is a hell of a race. This is the best Supreme Novice I've ever seen. It's not for a few years, and I'd say ever. I mean, you have all the unexposed ones. Now, I'm assuming whatever runs, but you have Sir Gerhardt unexposed, Constitution Hill unexposed, Dysart Dynamo unexposed, John Bon unexposed, and for me, Kilcrut unexposed. There's 5 top-class horses unexposed. Doesn't get any better. I don't think I've ever seen a Supreme like it. So or a bunch of novices even like it.
You couldn't fancy anything that strongly then? You're just going to...
No, I think this is a race that's going to tell you a lot about the top-class horses for the next 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I'd find better bets during the week because I think this is a race that's going to benefit Paddy Power more than the punters.
That's completely okay as well. I mean, not having a bet on the race, of course. Lydia, Constitution Hill is obviously relatively short price favourite, some would say. I know Sir Gerhardt's in there. We might go in this race or the longer one, but Constitution Hill is 9-4. They're thereabouts favourite. it's got to be a reasonable chance to be a good start for the home team this year. I mean, he's looked really good to soft and heavy ground. He's won on, but absolutely hosed up both times. Nicky Henderson's pretty good at getting them ready for Cheltenham, isn't he? So.
And impressive all the way through the race, the way that he won both times at Sandown. His stable companion John Bond has shown versatility as well. I know people were crabbing him in various ways. He had to work in order to win at Haydock. I like that. I think he'd have learned plenty from that race, and I think that will stand in good stead for the Supreme as well. People are talking also about his temperament and whether he might be a bit too fizzy and not handle the roar and all the preliminaries. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. He has been a fizzy horse, but when he actually switches to the race itself, he's been absolutely fine, and he's had three chances of steadily run races where he could have thrown it away, and he has never done that. I wonder about Dysart Dynamo in terms of temperament, but the main thing is we just don't know where Dysart Dynamo and Sir Gerhard are going to go. So at the moment, this and the Ballymore are still completely up in the air. I read Willie Mullins' Sporting Live stable tour. He's talking about putting cheek pieces on Sir Gerhard. Well, that's making you think Supreme, isn't it, rather than Ballymore, is it? And also, not just the 5, I'd throw in Mighty Potter to this as well, because in a strongly run race, I think he could be finishing off strongly. Kilcrut put up really stout, I mean, it was just a maiden, but he put up really stout fractions to win at Punchestown. That was a really strong performance. I think the tongue tie has made a massive difference to that horse, and he used to wobble a little bit under pressure. Last time there was none of that at all, and he came home head and chest. He was about 14-1, and at the time we were talking on Reg Cheltenham, weren't we, Ruby? This is a good bet because we know he's going to the Supreme, but now he's been really back recently, like Champagne Fever was. But I'm in short, after that long summary, I'm confused.
Okay, great. She's confused. Great start. The left side of the room are confused. The right side is you're watching. Ruby, come on, help us out here. First of all, do we know do we know yet, or Willie still doesn't tell you?
The two of them won't run. Dysart Dynamo and Sir Gerhard. They'll be split. They're the two Paul Townend will want to ride, and they will be split. Which way they're going to be split, I don't know. Dysart Dynamo looks a pacey individual. Cheek pieces. Lydia said she read that in Willie's stable tour. I'd be surprised. Or to put cheap pieces on Sir Gerhard. He's not the kind of person to fix what's not broken, and therefore I would, if he was to put cheap pieces on him, it would be after he gets beaten at some stage, I would have thought. But they will be split up, and one will go one way, one will go the other, and I think whichever one goes to the Ballymore will win.
Right.
But whichever one runs here only might win.
Okay.
The Ballymore's a much weaker race. I think this is a cracking race. Like everyone has said, Mighty Potter again at 10-1. Could be a dual grade 1 winner. He was unlucky in the Royal Bond and got caught in a pocket. A Kilcrut, the application of a tongue tie has really helped him. He was sold at the hospital and needs a bit of help.
He's only half listening.
I did notice that. But yeah,
He's tuned you out.
it is. But I at a push would be picking John Bond of Nicky's too.
Would you?
Yeah. I loved him in Newbury. I was standing on the track watching him go to the start. I think Dysart Dynamo, if he was to run here, or it doesn't matter, they're going to go hard in the Supreme, whatever runs. I think the race is made for him.
Okay.
Do you
John
think Kilcrut will make it?
He'll go forward. I think whatever happens, if Dysart Dynamo runs, you're expecting him to go. If he doesn't, Kilcrut will go. If the two of them run, they'll both go.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be made up for John.
Closer,
Yeah. Him and Mighty Potter, I think that would suit Mighty Potter
Both,
as well, that scenario.
Put some sense in this, Frank, for us, will you?
That's very tricky. The one thing I would say is, personally, I would be keen to take on Constitution Hill. He's looked very good. The times are quite good, but Sandown form and heavy ground, testing ground, it doesn't work out all the time. I know Somerville Boy won the Tallworth and won the Supreme, which would like Fiddler on the Roof was equally as impressive, and he bombed out in the Supreme. And he reminds me of Spirit's Son. Noland, was it?
He won at Tallworth, didn't he?
Yeah, and
Christian Williams rode him.
Elixir de Nuts has won a Tallworth as well, hasn't he?
He didn't win the Supreme though, he got injured.
No, I'm talking about horses that bomb out. I'm supporting your argument,
he didn't make the Supreme though. He got injured because I backed him
pulled
for
out in
the
the
Supreme,
morning, that's right, sorry.
But that was in the past, we don't care about that, so we're talking about the future, come on.
Yeah, but I've lost my train of thought there now.
You're about to say you don't like Constitution Hill.
I don't like, he reminds me of Spirit's Son, that's what I was going to say. Like if you remember Spirit's Son.
Same colours.
Same owner, an unbelievable horse. I think he would have, you can't say, but he looked like he was absolute superstar. But he managed to get turned over in the Supreme by Ruby and Alfaraf. And that was probably the best Supreme, arguably, we've seen up to now. I think it's very similar type of race. I think Jam
Actually, he's right. Like when you said this could be, when you look at that race, Alfaraf,
Yeah.
Sprinter, Q card. That was some race.
Exactly. I was just thinking about that.
It turned
when
out
he
to
was
be
talking
some
about
race.
it.
Yeah.
Who was fifth?
Couldn't tell you.
Oscar Whiskey, wasn't it?
Oscar Wilson.
Will you tell me who's going to win this one?
Right. Anyway, John Bond, I think everyone's kind of crabbing him, but
Was his form not let down last weekend?
look, his form's actually been franked. So, like, if you look, Nelson was 4th behind him at Haydock. He won the Grade 2 up in
Oh jeez, I shouldn't have started.
up in Kelso, and the horse Donny Boy was about 3 lengths behind Nelson. He was going to finish place in that Kelso race when he fell at the last. So the form is working out fine. I would think he's more interested in Constitution Hill, but for me, once Sir Garrett in the race, Sir Garrett will win.
Okay.
I think he blew me away, even with his sloppy jumping at Leopardstown. For me, he is by far the most interesting.
Will he win either race? Whatever race he goes in?
Yeah, basically, my opinion is
He's the best.
he runs in the
best
Supreme,
novice,
he wins the
best
Supreme. Dice down in the Ballymore, he win the Ballymore. His time at Leopardstown.
7. I'll give you Willie's number there. Give him a ring.
Okay, great. We're going to move on to the Arkle quickly because we spent loads of time on that race, which is fine. Because I'm sure there's other races that we don't spend as much time on. This race looks very winnable. Lydia, I'll start with you if you don't mind, because it's
That's fine.
another one. Edwardstone. Is Edwardstone just a good price, or would it be a drifter? I mean, it's one of those races where you think, God, we could get an upset here, but then you kind of go, well, maybe the top of the market's correct as well.
I
you know?
fancy Edwardstone, but I think he'll drift. At the moment,
Yeah.
he's 9-4, isn't he? I think he will drift.
It hasn't beaten much.
Has he not beaten much? Well, I think it's more the way he's done it. I mean, I think for Third Time Lucky is pretty good, and he's completely thumped the horse. It's more what I like about him. It was people have sort of used his hurdling form to undermine what he is now, and I think he's a totally different horse. With hurdling, he used to be very patiently ridden. He was never slick over his hurdles. He's actually able to gain ground over fences and press on from quite a long way out, and that run style is going to suit him, I think, in the Arkle. He can go on from 4 out as he did in the Kingmaker last time at Warwick, and go on from 2 out as he did with his earlier wins earlier on in the season. I think he's the kind of horse that will be able to deal with a really strong pace. It's going to be a strong pace because Magic Days is in the race. Henry de Bromhead has said that she's going there. She only knows one way. She runs as if her tail's on fire. And if For Pleasure is in the race as well, there's going to be 2 of them there doing exactly the same kind of thing. The horse that's going to be able to hold his position and gain ground in that situation and then press on, I think, is Edwardstone. But I personally would wait. I think he's going to drift because there are so many different ways that you can argue this race, particularly from an Irish perspective. We've got a strong band of horses, many of whom are much of a muchness, arguably. There's no one that comes out against him, but I think that the weight of opinion will be that Edwardstone can be beat, and I think he can probably drift to, I don't know, 11-4, 3-1, something like that.
It's funny, Ruby, I was going to ask you about that because River to Tell and Blue Lord, remember the race at Leopardstown watching, I was kind of a bit afterwards, which is maybe way too harsh, but like just, there doesn't seem to be much between the 2 of them. It's easy reverse form between the 2 of them, but like, is that good enough to win an Arkle?
I don't know. I think like Riviera to Tell jumps the last better. She wins. Paul Tellin was brilliant on Blue Lord as well. I think there's not much between them, and even bringing in the third horse, Saint Sam, a couple of jumps for him.
Yeah, you were fancy him today, weren't you? He's tough.
He missed the 2 of those, still got beaten 4 lengths, so there isn't a whole pile between them. What puts me off Saint Sam, Otto Colo, Riviera to Tell, is the poor record 5-year-olds have. It's 5 Borough Steadies when they had the full weight allowance was the last 5-year-old to win the race. Since then the record is shocking. That makes Blue Lord number 1. You see that far ahead of Riviera to Tell, and it brings you back to Edwardstone. I'd say he is very, very professional. He's a brilliant jumper, and he's the most likely winner. What's a very open race.
If you're going to bring age into it, though, you've got to hold the fact that he's 8 against him, because only Moscow Flyer and Sizing Europe have won at the age of 8. And is he just a bit old?
But the other thing is, like, you're talking about maybe what looks a substandard Arkle compared to maybe recent years. So maybe those stats might be as relevant this time around.
The 2 5-year-olds were well chief and 5 Borough Steadies. They were champion chase horses as well. You mentioned the 2 8-year-olds being Moscow Flyer and Sizing Europe were champion chase horses as well. So therefore we'll just stick with the 6 and 7-year-olds. That brings you back to Blue Lord and what else?
But it also used to be the case that you needed to be a hurdler rated over 145 to win an Arkle, and like put the Kettle Almonds rated what 124, 120.
Yeah.
So like again, that was relatively an ordinary Arkle. So like I think the stats can be blown out of the water when it's not the strongest race ever. Like if you had a genuine 160 hurdler in here, I don't think you'd be entertaining too many of these.
But it's going to be that kind of race, isn't it? Because so many of them are 5-year-olds, and that means that they haven't had a chance to upgrade their hurdle rating because they haven't had a second season over hurdles. I just think it's a different kind of race this year, and I also think that horses are just getting more precocious. I think we're just that will shift. I think that 5-year-old thing, I take the point, but I think it will drop at some point. Some horses are going to break it, and this could be the year that happens.
Any thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, well, I just thought River Detail has loads of experience, but I just think not good enough, and that leaves Blue Lord not good enough. St. Sam is behind that as well. I thought Edward Stone is like it might get the English off the mark here.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking for a cursive line each way or another?
I could see it. Like the problem with him is I can see him travelling into between 2 and 1 out. Could I see him tearing up the hill and winning? Maybe not.
You need to watch the county again.
Yeah.
He was coming up the hill perfectly strongly in the county.
He won well in Gorn, didn't he?
That was a nothing race. I don't know. I'm not. There's a chance he goes to the Grand Annual as well. But like
sorry, you're talking about Curse of Blame. Apologies, I thought you were talking about Edward Stone. Apologies.
Oh no.
Sorry.
No, Edward Stone. I'd have no issue there. Just he's been impressive with the way he's jumped. I just don't rate the horses he's beaten. Like Third Time Lucky would be a horse I'm always against. I'm always trying to, take a position against him and fill our boots basically with him. So I don't rate him beating that horse. I do rate his ability, but at the same time, I'd be slightly disappointed if he wins the Arkle because I don't think he's going to make up into a championship horse next year. And the one I thought, look, you're taking an awful lot in trust, but of all of them, if there's one in there that's got ability to be much better than 152, 153, for me it's Hot on Clore. He did fall, and that is a worry, but you have to remember how he travelled in to the Triumph last year. He absolutely cruised into it like a good horse, and that Triumph's worked out. Like Adagio and Zanher were there with him, and he was quite good the first day. Now he did jump left a little the last couple of fences, but again, it's not too often horses fall and go on and win at Cheltenham, but for me, he's the one horse that I think he'll be able to travel in his comfort zone with the jumping holes up. Like he's going to be, I think it's going to suit him having For Pleasure and Magic Days in there. Magic Days was interesting, but at 12-1, you much ahead of Alan Backner at that price, to be honest. Like she was 33-1, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago when we were doing the Antipose podcast. You could take a flyer at that price, but at 12-1, I couldn't have her, even though she did run really well in the Mayor's Novice last year. But for me, Austin Clore is more tailored to
Frank and Edward Stone around the rest of the table. Okay, the Ultimate's next. We always get a breeder now before the Champion Hurdle. It might be still difficult. Frank, just generally, Frank, on the handicaps, my head is telling me that you're better off, unless there's a 50-1 shot, you're better off nearly waiting for the day and getting extra places and all that kind of stuff.
The only thing is, we've been paying 5 places on handicaps on here, so pretty
I
generous.
didn't even see him up for that, I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because we're marketing really well.
You're a great company, man, Paddy.
Yeah.
But look, there will be races where we're 6 and possibly even 7 places.
Yeah.
But we're talking about it today, and there's probably 1 or 2 per race that would shorten significantly.
Yeah.
But the majority of them would drift because when you're betting these races non-running money back, you're kind of always on the defensive, being careful. And what you find then is a lot of the horses priced between 10 and 20-1 will be like 20, 25 to 50-1 on the day. So depending on, if you find that sexy horse that's going to shorten, then it's worth stepping in now. But if you've missed the bow-tied weight, take example there, Stateman, Langdon are about 4-1. Are they going to shorten up? You'll definitely get a bit bigger the day before at least. Maybe SP will be shorter. But in the handicaps, unless you find one sneaky one, I wouldn't be having the bet.
Okay, apparently the sound is rubbish. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Apologies everybody, Frank broke the sound system I think. But we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. We're going to fix the sound and we'll be right back. Apparently you can hear us again. Sincere apologies about that. It was not Frank's fault. In fact, it was Ruby's fault in the end. We were in the middle of talking about the Ultima. Frank was about to give us the winner. The one I have kind of picked out in this race is the one that won by 10 lengths at Cheltenham last time, Imperial Alcazar. I know he's entering the Paddy Power plate as well.
I thought he'd run on the plate.
Okay, he might run on the
more
plate,
so
yeah.
than this. The one I like, I think it's really interesting, is full back for Gary Moore.
Okay.
He only had 3 starts over hurdles. They were quick to send him over fences. He showed a bit of ability over hurdles. He won a second start. And he wasn't disgraced under penalty at Newbury then. He was behind the likes of Brinkley, Do Your Job, Course-Ren. They're useful horses. They're all rated in around 130 to 145. Send over fences, need his first start. He won his second and third starts. And his first start, or in his first win, he beat AC Milan of Plumpton. Absolutely hammered him. AC Milan, I suppose, he's never really delivered on his potential, but at the time you would think he was going to be a really good horse. But he followed up under a penalty at Exeter, beating Dolphin Square, and he's a fairly good yardstick. He's rated about 143 over hurdles now. I think he won a Newbury over hurdles earlier in the year. I think he's running on Hunter Chases as well. And he only went off 92 for Reynoldstown. Now, it was a bit much for him, and he was pulled up as one remastered one. But again, he needed his first start at Chepstow this year. It was a little disappointing in the Ladbroke Trophy.
Fullback's going to win, that's fine. Thank
But
you.
he's 50-1. I'll just give you the thing. Go back and watch his run at Taunton behind Yalenki. He won at Cheltenham before that.
This is fullback. You're just
Full back, but he went to Taunton then behind Yalenki. He was meeting on £16 worse turns than he would have met him in a handicap, and he actually travelled really well against him. He was just outclassed a little bit at the end, but the handicapper bumped him up £1 to 140. I think he's really well handicapped, and he's won at Cheltenham.
Well, the good thing is, Frank, because you went back and watched that means we don't have to. We just have to believe you. Fullback, right? So
very keen on him.
Yeah, okay, very keen on him.
Very keen.
Okay, I might actually write that down then. Frank's pretty good at these handicaps. Okay, now we were just talking about, while we were having the mare with the sound there, we were just talking about how that was kind of the breather before the big race, the Champion Hurdle, which is, I mean, if Matt Chapman was here, he'd say Honeysuckle's never beaten anything. I would say Appreciated is trying to do kind of like a Montalado nearly. The last time Appreciated ran, it was winning the Supreme last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get away with it really. I know it's a few races later, and yeah, anyway, so it was an attempt at a little bit of Montalado humour, which didn't work very well. But anyway, Appreciated 7-2. So you got the second favourite as a horse that hasn't run for a year, which is obviously a small bit of a problem, I would imagine.
Well, it's someone who can do it. Willie's proved it on more than one occasion he can do it.
Well,
Didn't Penn Hill come in and win a
Penn Hill,
stairs
yeah.
off no run?
Yeah,
Marty
it might be
Fire,
different.
Viga, yeah, of course he can do it, but did he has Willie done it trying to take on a horse like Honeysuckle? No.
What do you think?
I think she'll be very, very hard to beat. He's in great form. The argument is he probably has run into one racehorse in his life and got beaten by it. That was Fernie Hollow. You know, he's bolted in and he's supreme, but Blue Lord fell. I don't know how strong a race it was. He's in great order. He was an each way price at 6, 7, 5 to 1. Now he's under that. He's probably not. Maybe on the day, Frank, he might drift back out. But
would you know
she's a brilliant mare.
If you're if you're riding out, just say you're riding Appreciated or whatever, like when you're riding Hurricane Fly or one of the really top champion hurdlers. Like, do you know? Like, does Appreciated feel? I know because you never go full pace at home,
I
right?
couldn't tell you Appreciated feels. David Casey rides him every day.
Yeah.
No one else sits on him. I rode him as a bumper horse. And I thought he was a beautiful horse, a really good horse. He's in really good form. But I think Honeysuckle, to be fair to her, has a part in every race where she just blows the opposition away. She just turns it on for a furlong. Somewhere, be it off the home turn the last day in Leopardstown, off the home turn the Champion Hurdle, halfway down the back in an Irish Champion Hurdle, she can just turn it on and open up and nothing can live with her, and then she just saunters home in front. I think she's exceptional and she'll be really hard to beat.
So how is Paul going to ride Appreciated against her?
I think he'll ride him like he rode him in last year's Supreme. Good and handy, keep it fairly simple, and he'll be good enough or he won't be.
That was a really strongly run race though, wasn't it, the Supreme last year?
It was slow home though. They went hard early and came home quite slow.
Yeah, but he
from the top of the
won
hill.
22 lengths, didn't he?
He did, but he still.
Was it 22? I think he
Yeah,
won.
Blue Lord would have finished
Yeah.
within 10 lengths from anyway, only for falling at the last.
Yeah.
But
That's what blew it to 22. But even if you put them the Supreme against the Champion Hurdle, like Honeysuckle comes from a long way behind them, they end up a long way in front of them.
Lydia, any chance?
I'm just interested in how this is going to go. Are people going to start looking for angles against Honeysuckle, and what's going to be the impact on her price? Also, I'm interested in how bookmaker Frank.
It could be 3-0 England at this start, UK or Britain or whatever.
That could have an
at
impact
this stage now.
But how are they going to bet?
She
do you
gets
think?
hammered in the betting every time. No matter what price you put her in, she shortens.
Right.
No matter what.
And the
so
Black-
I
know
don't.
why.
The Blackmore
Pardon?
factor as
You
well.
know why?
Yeah,
Because she's never beat.
exactly. But
She's
I mean,
an
but
absolute
but there are
machine.
certain horses where, you know, even though they would have a good record, they wouldn't be that strong in the market. But no matter what price you put, even last year she got smashed up on the day. I can't see her going on. Like, I can't see her drifting out to
Is there another factor that's worth mentioning? Like last year, Henry de Bromhead, just unbelievably freakishly good form. His horses for the whole of Cheltenham week, they really were. I don't know what
This one has done it even when, you know, we'll say they're at the Dublin Festival just gone. They were saying
And
that
they were-
Henry
the
was
horse
under.
was quiet,
This one just came out. She just blows them all away. As Willie said the other night, that he had heard that she won her schooling bumper from Harold Kirk and all. She has never been beaten at any distance, right-handed, left-handed, undulating tracks, flat tracks, fast ground, soft ground. Doesn't matter. Honeysuckle is superior. So, I mean, to me, it's just open and close. She wins. And if you want to value a bet, for me, David Pipe's horse, Adagio. Very good
The bet
horse.
without could be interesting.
The betting without is the way to look at it, because I
yeah.
think you're either going to appreciates clear second best and it's going to win that market, or you're getting tremendous value if you don't believe that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be with Tony. I think Adagio, like, people were knocking him a little bit on being beaten by Goshen, but like, Goshen is very good right-handed. He had softest ground at Wincanton. Adagio hadn't won since the Great Wood. You look at how the Great Wood's worked out. Like, he's beaten by West Cork, who's an absolute plot job. You've got the likes of Tritonic, won a really competitive handicap at Ascot. You've got Glory and Fortune, won the Betfair Hurdle. Botox has won the race at Fontwell the other day. Marie's Rock won at Kempton and won a list. Like, the form has worked out tremendously well, and he was carrying top weight as a 4-year-old in his first season out of the juvenile ranks. And I love the way he goes through his races. He travels really powerfully. Even in Wincanton he traded for 1.12 or something. I can just see him being ridden to travel into it, and I can definitely see him. Like, I think he's about the 6-1 mark in the without market. You back him each way. He'll definitely be in the first 4. You'll get like some small return. I wouldn't be surprised if he came second. Tehupu, my worry with him is he looked really good at Gorn, but it was a massive performance so close to Cheltenham, and I just wonder, would he leave his run behind him?
Well, Hardy Eustace and those used to do it regularly, you know, when they used the Red Mills hurl as a stepping stone. So,
but he
when
was
they used to campaign horses properly, you mean?
he was a superstar though, wasn't he? He was
Then
tough.
you see,
Like,
on the other hand, you know, I mean, how people use Wincanton as a prep for Cheltenham, it's just beyond me. I can never understand it.
But like,
you know,
yeah, but the only thing about
track,
Adagio is
less than a month before the race.
He has good Cheltenham form. Like, you know, he's won there. Adagio, he's been second in the Great Woods, second in Triumph, beaten by Duffy Cole when he should have won when he went a bit too soon.
Yeah,
and
sorry, his Great Wood run tells me is a serious sense in the Champion Hurl. The Wincanton run, I just put a line through it because looking at Wincanton form,
it was a bit of work.
Going to Cheltenham is crazy in my book.
But it was a bit of work. Like, and
shaped
what
well.
he's shaped.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of people, like, I actually was working that day and I cut him for the Champion Hurl.
I actually was working that day.
I actually was working, I only work a lot of weekends, but I actually cut him while a lot of firms pushed him because I thought it was an excellent bit of prep for it, while a lot of people took it as a negative because he got beaten. But I think you're underestimating the fact that it was a bit of work, and you're underestimating the fact that Goshen's very good when he goes right-handed.
I respect him in the without market. The one that I'm interested in, because I think he's going to be overlooked, is actually Zanahiyr for stablemate Chihupo, because he's just been impressive last time. And Zanahiyr's been beaten a couple of times by Honeysuckle, but not making his own running, with cheek pieces added, in a strongly run race where he can take a lead. I think he could run really well. I think he's a really strong stayer, probably ultimately was a step up in trip, and I think he could be the one that's overpriced in the without market. Come to be overpriced in the without market.
Okay, so Honeysuckle a good thing, and who knows without. Moving swiftly on to the Mayor's Hurdle. This one, Frank, I'll start with you. This, I think, could be a bit of pace on here. Could set the race up.
Yeah, when
Stormy
you've
Ireland's
got
there.
Stormy Ireland and Heaven Help Us will probably kick on.
Yeah.
Be no hiding place. The two I was liking most of the season are Burning Victory and Queen's Brook. Burning Victory got her jumping together, but the way they shaped the last day, you'd probably be a little bit more interested in Queen's Brook. she was conceding £3, wasn't she? And like, I just thought it was more of a prep, and listened to Gordon. He was kind of suggesting that she was going to come on massively for it. And of course, you go back to her bumper form. She was third in the bumper behind Fernie Hollow and Appreciate, and that's not bad form, because you know she lacked on the track. And she's a bit of class, and she's a fair enough price there at 6-1. She's shortened up now since that run behind Burning Victory. But for me, I'd like her. Tell Me Something Girl. She probably deserves to be favoured, but at the same time, there's no juice in 3-1. I don't think she'll be any shorter at declaration stage. If anything, she'll drift out a tiny bit. And
Ruby, Concertista is also in the Mayor's Chase.
I'd say she'd go to the Chase.
More like run the Chase.
I'd say she would, especially after Colin Reevy winning it last year as a novice. I'd say, will you go that road with her?
Because funny, I had her down just saying she's 3 runs at Cheltenham. She's won once and she's been beaten a head and a short head.
She would be interesting if she dropped back to the hurdle race. Like,
yeah.
'cause, you know, there's no, like, she'd end up being favoured, I think, if she dropped back into this. But yeah, she'd probably end up.
So you're going to be your Queen's Brook.
I just really liked the way she travelled into it the last day, and as a prep run, if you knew she was maybe 80% fit, then and like we know from the bumper form, she has a load of ability. So yeah.
Okay, Ruby, any?
Stormy Island for me. Thought she was really good in the Royal Kiel. I thought she was good in Ferryhouse last year, won in Punchestown.
So she went off to Paul Nichols and came back, is that right? Yeah.
She was. Yeah, went to Paul Nichols, then she was sold, bought back to Willys, won in Ferryhouse, won in Punchestown. I thought she was good in the Royal Kiel hurdle. She's run well at the festival in the past, and I think this is the weakest mare's hurdle she's running.
Is this the type of race you just try and dominate from the front?
No, she doesn't have to. If Heaven help us wants to go faster, so that's perfect. She doesn't have to make the running. She just wants a good gallop.
Okay. Any views?
I think Tell Me Something Girl will win. I take the point about the price. I think Queen's Brook is going to be backed probably. Concertista isn't going to run. I don't fancy Stormy Island. I take the point that the race is probably weaker than other editions that she's faced, but she's also older. She was having a race against Brewing Up a Storm, which Buttocks was able to push aside recently. I just think there'll be horses with more fight in them in the closing stages. And Tell Me Something Girl is, I thought she ran really well when Royal Kahala beat her. I think she was conceding weight. She came out much the best horse in the race. The way the race was run, I think she was disadvantaged and still managed to run really well. She's suited by the track. That's the winner for me.
Tony?
Yeah, I'm just amazed that nobody has mentioned Royal Kahala. I think she's
that.
Dead solid. Keeps doing it. Doesn't do as stylish, but maybe that's her type, her way. I mean, her form is very solid there with all the horses that you're talking about. And if Concertista is out for me, Royal Kahala is definitely value at those enhanced odds that Frank is going to give us in a while.
I prefer it 3 miles personally.
Yeah, like the other one I would give a mention to, I wouldn't completely write off is Martello Sky. I know like she's probably a bit unfashionable and she drift a little bit, but you can't knock her attitude, and she was an eye catch. If you go back and watch the Mayor's Novice last year, she just outpaced. She wasn't quick enough for 2 miles, and she ran on really strongly to finish 8th, I think. But I mean, stepping up to 2.5 miles has definitely seen her improve, and she's a really good attitude. I wouldn't be. She's probably not up to winning it, but I wouldn't be surprised if she hit the
Milner, Festival winner last year.
Yeah, like you look at
Pertemps.
Dame de Compagnie won a Pertemps, didn't she? And she had a crack at this last year, and she wasn't good enough. There's a big difference between winning handicaps and winning Grade 1s, even in the Mares. Like, that would be my concern with Heaven Help Us. She was a big price in the Carl Cup. I think they were willing to let her kick on, thinking she might stop.
Yes.
She never did. I don't think they'll make the same mistake with her here. And she's up against, you know, it's not the strongest Mares hurdle, but at the same time, they'll be alive to what she's at.
Right.
I think they underrated the 7 pound claimer that was riding her.
Definitely.
I mean, that was a half stone she had up her sleeve with a very, very good rider.
She's running off a low mark and low weight.
People just haven't gotten onto that yet.
Yeah.
He's a very good rider.
We're moving on to the Boodles next, and speaking of handicap good things, this is probably the first handicap good thing in theory. Do you want to tell us why this Gaelic Warrior is a good thing, Frank?
Look.
No, just tell us the theory why. I'll ask Ruby then.
Yeah, on its French form, he should be rated 139. He was third. I think the second and fourth ran in the Grade 1, finished first and second. So it's there to see he could potentially be thrown in. Like we were discussing today, what price we think he can go off. 5-2. Like, I can't see him getting short. I can't have him going short in 2-1. Like, there's an awful lot of unknowns here with him. He could be a 145
There's going to be
horse.
loads of horses thrown in here.
Well, this is the thing. Like, where's the balance? Where's the tipping point where you kind of go, you have to take him on? But you know nothing about a lot of these horses, really. Personally, I draw the line at 2-1, where I would think you'd have to try and take him on, because I'd weigh it up as like how much damage you're going to do liability-wise at 2-1. It's not like you're taking on a 5-1 shot. You know what I mean? Where the liabilities can ramp up very quickly. But for me, I'd be looking elsewhere at that price and just taking a chance. Like, even look at the prices horses win the bulls. You've got a few short ones. You're getting wild price. It was 80-1 last year. You're getting 40-1, 33-1. I've backed one at the start of the year. Started on maybe the first week of January. He'll drift. The horse is Briska. Yeah. He will drift because I think he'll be second or third string Gordon. But again, he won his hurdles debut at Fairy House, and Gordon just said, he's a Boodles horse, straight away. Yeah. And then he ran at Leopardstown at Christmas behind Phil Dore, and watch the mistake he made 2 out, and watch how quickly he came back on the bridle. He had a horse with loads left, and he was given what I would consider a Fred Winter ride then. Right. Let them get away from him, and then run on into ride, third. Yeah. And I wouldn't even consider the last day. It was his third run in 4 weeks.
So you're still confident in Briska?
I think you could potentially get 20-1 or 25-1 come the day, depending. I can't see Jack Kenny ride the tide turns.
You might have till you made the case you made.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like you've Gaelic Warrior, the tide turns obviously massively eye-catching at Goran as well. Like, they're going to dominate the market, and then you've got like Paul Nichols kind of bigging up his Bellex one. So he can't butt drift. And just going again each way. Like, this will be a race for 5 places at least.
Would you be one of those where you backed him anti-post at 12s and he goes 20s, you have to back him again?
Yeah. Like, if you believe the bet is still
responsibly.
Yeah. But it just depends. Do you believe that your bet still makes sense now? Like, you know, like if you sometimes you go, oh, that bed's dead, even though the horse is running, is no chance. Yeah. But for him, we don't know, and we know Gordon's a brilliant target trainer, and he's definitely been lined up at this from day one. Yeah. Will he win? Maybe not, but I mean, he's still a double-figure price. It is, and he's only going to get bigger.
If he won't win now.
Tony, do you sit down with Willie at any stage for drinking out a bottle of wine and talk through Cheltenham and what he thinks and all that kind of stuff before you go over, or is it more afterwards?
Oh, well, no, I'm the one that knows everything after, but no, not really. I mean, we talk about it, and some of the dribble he comes out with a few drinks in him is just unmerciful. So
he hasn't mentioned this Gaelic Warrior so, like, in my head now. I don't know if I read this or imagined it, but that it was going to be like a supreme horse. Something then they saw the market they just couldn't for next year, but they saw the market, they just couldn't not run it in a handicap.
I read that somewhere as well, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure, it makes sense to run him in this, when he got such what looks a favourable mark. But I agree with Frank. Backing a horse you've never seen in a new stable that has never run for that stable, I just wouldn't have it anyway,
Like, the way I look at it is, you've got a load of unexposed horses, you're going to get a max field at 22. You could look at the Newcastle card tomorrow and find a 7-runner race where you can narrow it down to 3 and back a 5-2 shot. That's a way better chance of winning. Exactly. Like, any price, a good price at the moment, the way fellas are steaming into this. But I mean, if you're backing that profile of horse at 5-2, you won't be long being a poor man.
Yeah, this is just, it's a kind of that.
It's just what say I backed at anti-post. Yeah. It's not about. He's by Galileo as well.
Yeah, well, if you have a Galileo rated 86 on the flat now, he's pretty middling.
Oh yeah, but I mean.
So, I mean, I don't know how.
It's still
Galileo.
You were just saying
the
Boodles is a race for bad horses. So any type of Galileo in a Boodle should be okay.
Yeah. Frank, what do you think of Saint Seagal?
Yeah, could see it. It's just what turned me off the English horses is just how easily Pied Piper beat them all, and they all kind of tied in. Now, at the same time, you have to like Night Salute and Porticello, the way they've been winning. They've great attitudes, but it just concerned me that maybe the Irish form's a little bit superior. Now, again, I think he'll drift.
Yeah, I suspect it is superior, but he's so lightly raced. I just wonder whether there's a huge amount of.
They have previous in the race as well.
Exactly.
So, again, Like, the point of this is, do you need to back him now? No. He'll be a bigger price on the day. Like, would you step in and back him at declaration stage? Yeah, definitely could.
Ruby, bit of sense.
Gaelic Warrior, yeah, he's no value at 5-2. He's a nice horse. He stays well, plenty of gears. Wouldn't say he's the fastest horse in the world, but he stays strongly. If he's in the van turning in, he'll get to the line. If that's good enough, he does look to have a favourable mark. I'd say with the reputation he came with and what he's shown us, we'd be hoping he's a good bit better than a 129. But you can make that case for a lot of horses in here with the marks they have, that they're better than what they are. But as Frank has said, would you back with 5-2? I wouldn't back with 5-2 anyway. I'd prefer to have something each way and turn the civil at 25-1.
Okay, lovely. Okay, we're going to do the nearly 4 miler now, but at 5 furlong pace. Okay, because we are running a little bit behind. So Run Wild Fred and Statler joint favourites here. Ruby, let's start with you.
Statler's a good horse, good jumper. Has he the profile? No, he hasn't got the runs. But he's a very good horse. I would prefer Vanilla, who was a better novice hurdler. Beats Statler twice over as a novice hurdler and has more runs over fences.
Funny, the Cromwell horses they're in terrible form and just coming back into form, aren't they? So Vanilla, you'd be keeping an eye on that one?
You could definitely see it. Again, like, he was
Festival
maybe
winner
2 weeks
year?
ago, he might have been 10-1. The markets found him, was reduced in 92? I don't think so. Statler has the look of carefully selected. I done my dough on him, was it 2 years ago? I wouldn't be surprised if something similar happens with him. Run Wild Fred's the solid one.
Yeah.
He was brilliant in the Tri-Town, and for me he's the most likely winner. But again, just a small worry that I know he had excuses for missing the 2 races this year, the ground and I can't remember what the other issue was. But for me, you're going to think I'm mental here now, but I backed Braeside before the 10 up, thinking I saw Jamie Codd was booked, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together and got 11, and was like, he's going to, be the National Hunt horse. But what I do know is he was the Kim Muir horse for last year until he got beaten at Fairyhouse, and then they slotted in Mount Ida. We were just getting Braeside for the Kim Muir requests for months, like. And you look the way he won the Cork National, bolted in. And you had Mr. Fog Patches back in third. It was a solid effort. And he has plenty of experience. He was excellent fourth in the Paddy Power, which showed he can act on better ground. Now he's been disappointing. I think the saddle slipped in the Thyestes, and then he just seemed out of it completely at Navan. But I thought it was interesting, they're persisting with him. I would have thought they'd have skipped it and waited for something else. And with Jamie Codd, you always have a chance. So
in Codd,
I thought my bet was dead, and now I'm kind of like, I've half a life here. I've half a life here.
I tell you. Tony, bit of sense, please.
No, that's impossible. But I think, we're all not mentioning Fury Road. I think he has a chance, just as good at double the price.
Would he run here over the other race?
I would have thought he'd have run in the Brown
I thought he'd
Advisory.
run on a 3 miler myself.
Yeah. That would be my guess, but
Lydia, are there any home runners here?
well, I'm interested in that. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go back over this race. But my reflexive thought was Run Wild Fred, because he has the right profile. So many things are correct for him. I largely like the way he jumps, but he is short enough. I'm going to have a go back and have a good look at the race. But if you're asking me now, Run Wild Fred.
Okay, perfect. Right, that's day 1 done and dusted.
Yeah, I'll show you. We have an enhancement.
Oh, we have an enhancement, Frank.
Yeah, we're going to, if you
Good man, I
fancy
completely forgot
Edward,
about that.
plenty low for Edward Stone, so we're going to boost him to 11-4 from 9-4.
Okay.
There's obviously
Does that happen does some magic person do that as we speak now, or what?
The
happens?
magic person's Dan. Yeah, Dan is going to do
Okay,
it
that's
for
brilliant.
us.
Okay, Edward Stone 11-4 from 9-4. Is that it?
Yeah, there's a max
One after
stake,
each
so
day.
everyone's going to get onto it. Hopefully,
What's the max stake?
It's 50
50
pounds.
quid. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, spot on. We'll have one for each day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple of viewers' questions on the screen in front of me, which thankfully I can read because my eyesight is not gone yet. A question from Philip Trainer. I haven't read these yet, so if they've stitched me up with something dodgy. Question from Philip Trainer. What race are you most looking forward to watching purely as a viewing spectacle? Lydia.
If Galopin de Champs and Bob Bollinger and L'Empresse all turn up in the Turners.
Okay. Anybody else have one that they're really dying for?
Oh, I mean, the Supreme. I mean, if they all turn up in the Supreme, it's going to be the most informative race for the next 3 or 4 years forward.
Not the Boodles to see the French good thing, no?
The Boodles.
Most overrated horse at the festival. Tony.
Well, Matt Chapman can answer that one. With his honeysuckle. What a foolish statement. I mean, I can't think of one offhand, you know.
Anybody got one that you're thinking like it's just for you? It's like one you'd be dying to take on, I guess. But
Possibly Willie's one in the handicap there. What's his name again?
Gaelic Warrior.
Gaelic Warrior.
I'll be done.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, look, my one isn't a favourite anymore, but he was earlier and close to favourite. Third time lucky. I just hate the horse, to be honest with you.
You've got both third time lucky. There's twice.
Oh,
He's
14
not
to
even
1 shot,
running
you
at
I
the
know,
Cheltenham
not
Festival.
overrated, but like I said, he was into nearly.
He's not even
second
running at the
favourite for
Cheltenham
the
Festival.
Arkle.
I think Mount Ida.
do you?
For that race specifically.
This is the Mayor's Chase.
Yeah, at the price in that race
The Mrs.
specifically.
Mrs. Paddy Power.
Paddy Power.
race,
Yeah, I like the horse. It's just more for that race specifically. She jumped wide.
In the furlong, but that was only because you cannot win a race if you go too fast. So I was counting to make sure I wasn't going too fast.
That sounds really weird. You can't win a race if you're going too fast.
The only way you can't win.
Nearly on.
Yeah.
Right.
But you think about it, like if you're going
Yeah.
running a kilometre, if you sprint,
The
what
first
you
100
bollocks
metres.
for the last 500 yards.
But you could do like remember everybody was cheating on the on their Fitbits to
Yes.
start and they just do 100 meters and stop and take a breath and do another 100 meters while breaking the world record for 1500.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Britney Spears broke the world record, didn't
exactly. Yeah. Anyway, listen. Thank you very much for the questions. Please keep sending the questions in, and we'll ask them throughout the evening. Anyway, we're on to day 2. I feel like this is predictably a little bit slower than we thought it was going to be at the start. So let's be snappier with our opinions, right? So the first race is the Ballymore, obviously. We don't know if Sir Gerhard runs here. We kind of talked about this already. Dysart, Dynamo and Sir Gerhard are not going to clash, sure they're not, Ruby?
No, and
So
I
one will go
think
in each
whichever
race.
one runs here will win.
Okay,
That's my opinion. You can move on from me after that.
okay.
I'll do the same just to keep it moving. Whichever one runs will win.
Because if you look at it, you got like Sir Gerhard, Dysart, Dynamo, Constitution Hill, John Bond. At Journey with Me is unbeaten. Jinto as well has
too
to have
slow.
a chance.
Ginto should run the Albert Bartlett.
We answered already for you. Move
Okay,
over that
sorry.
side.
What about this side of the room?
Yeah, I'm again because I don't really know what's going to be running here. It's really strong. It's really
Yeah.
hard to have an opinion.
I'd be pretty sure whichever one runs will be very close to being odds on.
Yeah.
Sir Gerhard will
Yeah,
definitely
when
be
we're
odds
talking
on,
about,
and
when we're
Dysart
talking
Dynamo.
about that top 5.
Yeah, like-
whichever
like-
one doesn't run in the Supreme is going to win this.
Yeah.
And
Sir
this
Gerhard,
is much more
yeah.
shallow than
Yeah,
the
and
Super
more-
Sir
off
Gerhard
the
will
break.
be odds on,
Yeah.
and Dysart Dynamo could be.
Okay.
Might be worth looking at a big price at this race actually.
But that's
Something
even for
very
each way, or
unexposed.
like I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think keep it simple and
North
back
Line.
whichever one runs.
I'd be the same.
Okay.
Okay. We have the Brown Advisory Novices Chase next. Just maybe I'm not that old, but still find it hard to get some of the, the new names. It's
They
not
keep
new names
changing
anyway.
them, it's
But
their
anyway,
own fault.
again, this is another one where you look at it and go, oh my God,
What's
what
this
a race!
called? Tony Kwan. It has a proper name, surely.
The Festival Novices Chase.
Festival Novices
No,
Chase.
no, but it
Yeah,
has.
but this is a new one. Like, I mean, this is
I thought back in the old days when the Gloucester hurling.
It has something like that though. I just can't.
Selling.
The RSA obviously
Plate.
before.
No, like it has a registered name, doesn't it?
The
Festival
Festival,
Chase.
the Festival Novices Chase.
Is that it?
That's the restaurant. Okay, fine. Festival Novices
Fact.
Chase. You look down, you go, wow, Gallopin de Champ, Bob Ollinger, Brave Man's Game, Long Press, Ahoy Senor, Capitan. This is going to be the best race in the history of racing. And obviously, none of them are turning up here. So it's another tricky one.
It's a shame
Isn't
they
it?
can't double declare and run the 2 days
Isn't
in
it?
a row.
But like,
isn't it?
so I'm saying, so Brave Man's Game is probably going to run here, right?
He will run here.
So is Brave Man's Game, like even if you take all the others out of it, there's no way he's going to be shorter than 7-4, 2-1, is there?
No.
Like in this race?
It depends on if Long Presse runs here or not. Would
Yeah.
definitely have an impact. Like we know Gallopin Champ and Bob Ollinger almost certainly won't. He's been impressed. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a tiny bit short. Like he's not going to be going off even money,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be shocked to see him going off 6-4.
But say, okay, Paul Nichols has said that the main target for him is the King George.
Yeah.
Is that not a worry?
Yes,
If
I
you're
think it
running
is.
this novice grueler.
I think he's absolutely spot on for the King George. I think he's got a really strong chance in that. I think it might be that he's at his absolute very best on flat tracks. I'm a huge fan of his jumping. He's such an intelligent jumper. He could go around by himself and he just sort of, he works out his stride and go long and go short. He's very, very good at that. His technique is beautiful and that will help him in terms of the efficiency over this trip. But I wonder whether the undulations are really his bag. And I wonder about the final climb as well. I know he was outspeeded by Bob Ollinger last time, but Gaillard Domenil got past him. And that's just something of a concern. That's not to detract from the ability I think the horse has. I just feel that there are some very good horses in this race, Ahoy Senor being one of them. And quite often this race is won by a slogger.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Brave Man's Game is a slogger.
What
well, I
is?
tell you one thing, if he gets beat
Gaillard
in this,
Domenil.
he can shelve his King George dreams. Huh?
What's going to win it then?
Well, brave man's game, I think.
You think
I mean,
he
if he's going to win a King George, even going to be trained for a King George, he should be winning this.
Yeah,
I mean, it's making no sense if he can't win this.
We have the likes of
I mean,
Candice O'Boe could never win at Cheltenham. And he could
Right.
win it. Candice O'Boe could never win at Cheltenham. And Saviniaco Conti couldn't win at Cheltenham. One King George.
Where is he going to be in the King George if he doesn't canter in here?
I think he's going to run well for a very long way.
He might stay.
I just...
But
I never collected much on
we'll
that.
say if we were speaking this time last year and I said to you, Tornado Flyer is going to win a King George.
I'd have agreed.
You'd have me locked up.
I'd have agreed with you.
It's a good answer.
Well, he was third in the, what, last
The
year?
Ryanair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
the
but
Ryanair.
He fell into third in the Ryanair.
Well, he might have fallen into third behind two absolute machines.
Well, he was. Yeah, I think he was underestimated.
Yeah, he
off
was
that
an
one.
underestimator. And wasn't he placing a novice the year
But-
before? Novice hurdle?
He didn't run the novice hurdle. He missed it. Remember, he was favoured for the Laurels and Ace, and he picked up an injury, I think, didn't he?
Yeah,
But he won
done-
a champion bumper at Punchestown.
Tornado Flare is a horse that was just under the
He competed
under
on
the
his-
radar.
Is he running in the
Yeah,
in the
look,
Brandon?
we've got
No,
on.
but I'm just saying that
Sorry, you're
type
looking
of
at me
horse.
saying, what the hell are you
I
letting me
was,
do?
I
Talk
was.
about this stuff. Yeah, take control of it. I was just actually wondering about, God, I wonder what I'll do tomorrow.
Brave man's game for me here is
Your worry would be, and Ruby probably be able to tell more than I can, like, is Harry Cobden holding on to nothing with him? You know, that
Well,
he looks
that's
like
what Lydia
he's
is.
on the bridle and he's not, he's loads to give. But I'm not sure what's going to be there when if he has to battle.
He showed a lot of gears at Kempton.
I think he-
Senior couldn't go quick enough
Yeah.
in front and was missing fences, and Brave Man's game quickened up really sharply. He's a brilliant jumper.
Yeah.
And I'm not that fond of leaving the ground too often. Tony, you'd nearly have a go on this fella. he's that good.
Nearly.
Yeah, he's
Nearly.
really good.
He's
Yeah.
a really good jumper.
Yeah.
He's loads of gears. I think he's a fabulous horse. I do think he could win a King George. Will he get home here? I think a lot depends on who takes on the High Senior. I think if they go hard enough that a High Senior
Drag
gets
him into
dragging him, he'll outstay him. But it comes down to that, and a High Senior needs something to make him go.
I'm worried about the tightness of the old course for Hoy Senior. He does go out to his right. I think he's going to find that difficult. I think he's a brilliant horse as well. I think he's made for a Gold Cup. I think he'll run really well in next year's Gold Cup. He's also quite a slow learner. I don't know whether he's the kind of horse who's never going to get out of his own way, or whether actually he's starting to get things and sort them out. And it might be that he runs really well, and he has learned last time from the Towton. The horse I think might, if there's going to be a grinder, I wonder about Gaillard du Mesnil. Now I'm slightly concerned because Willie Mullins doesn't seem to have mentioned him at all in dispatches, so you're going to have to tell me what he thinks. But it was a better performance last time, grinding his way into third behind Galopin de Champs. Obviously Galopin de Champs blew him away over 2 mile 5, but he managed to stay on his feet, not make mistakes. Others in the race did, and he stayed on in the closing stages. Obviously he stayed on past Brave Man's Game over hurdles behind Bob Ollinger last season. And I think that he's a horse that could run well into a place at a very big price, and even might have a chance if the scenario that you've painted there, or a scenario something like that happened, might have a chance of winning if it turns into a proper grind.
Okay.
I think Capadano for me, if you're picking one of Willie's. I think going up and trip would really suit him. He gave Bob Ollinger some bit of a race in Punchestown with 3 fences bypassed because of low-lying sun. 3 miles brought out the best of them over hurdles. I think that'll bring out improvement in him over fences, and he'd be the one of Willie's if I was picking.
Is Gaillard running?
Yeah, he's running. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got a strong view?
I don't have a strong view, but I just thought like Beacon Edge and Fruit de Len are a little bit underappreciated in the market. It's not going to be the deepest race ever, and maybe Fruit de Len. He beat Vanillier in Limerick over hurdles last year. Didn't get to Cheltenham, I think, but
He's surely not good enough against.
He's a better horse, do you think?
I'm telling you now, like, as in, this race is won by either a superstar sort of, like, at the same time, would you have said O'Phelan's boy is good enough to win an RSA? He won an RSA with many clouds and Doncaster in the race.
Good.
Do you know what I mean? It's just who's
But how
the right horse.
and run the horse in the King George if he couldn't win the RSA?
But I don't know. I mean,
I think he's ideal for a
O'Phelan's
King
boy was a very good horse. Show me the form that he wasn't good enough. He got injured.
Who was?
O'Phelan's boy.
Before the race.
He won the Reynoldstown, hadn't he? He had good form. But at the same time,
but the minute he won the RSA, it wasn't that he went back and proved that he was a Midland horse.
No,
he was a top-class horse that got injured.
Going into the race, he wouldn't. He was 14 to 1 shot, I think, on the day. He was relatively unconsidered.
That's because you weren't paying attention.
Even Black Lion wasn't really. But Black Lion won it, and you had two.
It's over. It's over. A long time ago. That's fine.
I like arguing, Paddy.
I know you do. Jeez, I've noticed. Coral Cup. You can talk about the Coral Cup. Argue about that.
I'm not sure if he's going to run. I'm not sure if he's going to get in. But Maximus is relatively interesting off the mark of 134. Ties in with Hillcrest. Beat My Drogo in a bumper.
Yeah.
I think that run at Exeter when he was beaten a length by JPR1 and Luttrell Lad was good. He's definitely well handicapped. He might go to the Bannymore. And the other one was Indigo Breeze for Gordon. He got a mark of 140.
He's got like 50 runners or something at Cheltenham. I know Willie has millions as well, but like Gordon's loads of handicap runners. And do you think he's
sexy enough?
Okay, that's Indigo Breeze.
Yeah.
Okay, Ruby, any thoughts on this?
San Felician, if he runs here for me.
San Felician. Okay, yeah.
I couldn't have named you a horse in the Coral Cup before this morning. No clue.
Tony?
No opinion.
Right today.
I know that.
This is another one. The Coral Cup, there should be going a million places on the day. So.
We'd be 6 at least.
So do you know what I mean? There is, like, unless you're
like it's in the game.
A real sneaky one, wait till the day. Like
like it's in Indigo Breeze. I can't see him shortening.
Yeah.
The most forlorn cry during a race. Get 8th!
Yeah, get 8th. Yes. It does.
My
help.
E10 months.
You're not trying to be 8th, but when you see him, when you see him like 20 lengths behind coming to the last, and you go, oh, he's staying on. You never know. Right. The champion chase now. This could be a cracking race. Like, I mean, Ruby, 2 questions. First of all, what does Paul Town? Is it certain that he's going to ride an Ergamine, or is it a hard decision for him to make between that and Shack and Persois?
I'd say it's definitely became a more difficult decision when Willie nailed his colours to Shack and Persois anyway.
Yeah.
But I haven't asked Paul, purely because I think Shishkin will win. I don't think it really matters which one of the two would be right.
Well, that was my second question. Is going to be like, are we just over-egg? I know Shishkin's amazing, but are we over-egging? It's only a length, like, at Ascot. Do you reckon that was as good as an Ergamine is, though?
Everything went spot on for Energamin. Shishkin nodded at the last fence down to Swinley bottom. Shishkin jumps left, Energamin jumps right. It was tailor-made for Energamin. Quickened off the bend, pinged the second last, got your man at it, flew the last. So further they were going, further Shishkin was going to win. I know you're coming back in trip, but Shishkin bolted up in the Arca last year. Nico de Bonneville is very good at keeping it simple. He sent him to the front of the third last in the Arca last year. He's going to bounce him out there, first 2 or 3 every step of the way, set sail down the hill. Who's going to beat him?
Well, say an Ergamine can't beat him. Shack and Persois obviously has some amazing
I'll put it this way. You give Shishkin or Energamin
on that he's going to change his training on, maybe that'll change him, but what I've seen at Shack and Persois, he will arrive down to the last on the bridle, mightn't be against these two, but he's going to walk up to the line again.
Right.
There's no evidence to say that he's going to be any different.
And the same in Punchestown, like he put Allaho to the pin of his collar, but you watched him from the back of the last, and Punchestown is nearly down to
all over.
But that's how he's able to do it, isn't it? That really suits him. Punchestown is where he's at his absolute best.
Loads of jumping, flat, it suits him to get going, but
Yeah.
he's not a strong enough finisher. And I think a switch the direction here is going to switch the distance even further for Shishkin and Energamin. I think that's the way I see it now.
How is it going to be run though? I mean, I just don't know who's going to go off in front.
Lick for Smather. So there's going to be one lad belting it, and as Ruby says, Nico de Bonneville always keeps it simple, and all he has to do is keep an eye on your man all the way, and he's going to beat him.
But is it Energamin who's going to go out in front and try and use the asset of his jumping? I agree, he goes to his right, and it might not be such an asset around the old course. Or is it going to be Shack and Persois?
Was he not too free to do anything else in the last day?
I didn't think he jumped that. It's a tiny bit right, but it's only.
No, but don't mind him jumping right.
At the old course,
It's
going to be.
I have a tiny like.
Yeah,
Captain Chris will an Arkle jumping proper right. I know it's different.
Captain Chris's Arkle.
Chris,
This is not Captain Chris's Arkle.
He beat a Queen Mother winner, Finian's Rainbow. Like the only thing I would say about the champion chase, Definitely Decide beating at 2-5, Duvan beating at 2-9. There's been bigger certainties than Shishkin beating in this race recently.
No, Duvan broke his pelvis. I mean, you're going to make that in Shishkin.
But no, but Definitely Decide was 2-5, and then
he didn't win a race since. Whatever happened to him, but Sprint to Sacra won at a what price?
Was he 1-4?
They win too.
Oh no, they do, right? But I mean, you're still talking about backing long odds on or odds on shots.
Are we been like this possibly?
Wasn't it for years the best odds on bet of the Cheltenham? All the 80s and 90s and
Mastermind
90s there.
all these ones.
The odds on in the Champion Chase was the one that they all went over to pay for their week. That was my memory of the Champion
Moscow
Chase.
Fire. See odds on?
Yeah,
You
Moscow
were supposed
Fire.
to be a jockey back then.
Well,
How would you know they were all back in the one and
No,
the odds on in the championship?
Put the kettle on. Is it just really insulting not to mention put the kettle
She
on?
just hasn't fired at
I
all.
know
this
she hasn't
season.
really,
She just
but
hasn't.
Cheltenham obviously the
Something,
festival. So
something like.
The one that we should be talking about is Nubi Negrev. For me, he is I don't think he's going to be a threat to Shishkin, but I think he'll probably finish second because I don't think the course is going to suit Eneghamin, and I don't think the course suits Shaka Baswar. I argued it last year. I saw nothing in last year's races to persuade me otherwise, no matter how he's ridden. I think Nubi Negrev probably would have won with a clearer run and a stronger pace in the race last year. This is much deeper. I think he's been put aside for the race. He comes here a fresh horse. He goes really well. I think he'll finish second.
Okay. On that, Tony, actually, just Dan Skeldon was kind of saying, making a big deal of the fact that he's not running his Cheltenham runners after Christmas. Like he's putting them away until Cheltenham since they're run in December or whatever. Does that like?
Yeah, I felt for the last few years, obviously after they got beat, I said, well, maybe he made too much use of them in January and February. And, you know, I mean, he's trying to change the thing to see can he bring them up. And Nubi Negrev is not far off it. It's just unfortunate he's run into a hell of a Champion Chase this time.
Yeah. So
The horse that started racing in Spain, or show jumping in Spain, did he?
That's show jumping, yeah. Well, he was recommended by a show jumper. So
I know that, I think he did a bit of show jumping.
Right, okay.
But yeah, he's still like if these two knocked each other,
yeah.
or as Ruby said, got the fractions wrong.
Can that happen? Could that happen in this race where they just worry about each other and forget about something else, or does that one have to be gone in front for that to?
Not now. There's three, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think that.
Are we just overcomplicating this?
I think so.
I'd be fairly confident going out and Shishkin's back anyway.
Okay.
I would too.
Straight forecast: Shishkin to beat Nubi Negrev.
Right. Okay.
Because Frank can't have it. Why can't you have it, Frank?
I just think the gap between Shishkin and Eneghamin is a bit big. I know
He loves
you're
Eneghamin. He's
I
in the
have.
betting,
I have.
You mean in the betting?
In the betting,
What
yeah.
about in Vial in the 20s?
If he came back to anything,
Sorry.
Here he won a grade one last
Like-
time over 2 miles. It's amazing how quickly he's kind of gone to forgotten horse, isn't he?
Sure,
That
he
tends
went
to
to a
happen
favourite
when you
for,
don't win.
for the grade one, didn't he?
Pardon?
Didn't he go favourite for?
She's gone. Yeah.
Anyway, what's the next race?
The next race is the cross country. I'm going to start with Frank. Tiger
Well,
Roll.
Tiger Roll.
Tiger
everyone-
Roll for Gigginstown against Gigginstown's Gold Cup horse at the start of the season.
Delta Work.
Delta Work.
He's interesting. Obviously, he's the class horse because there's not that many. Like if you're looking at the rest of the horses in behind, I couldn't have Eastland. I couldn't have the other one. What's it called again? Prengard.
Why can't you have Easy's Land? Easy's Land beat Tiger Roll 16 lengths.
Did you watch him in his two? I know it was hurls.
I know
Did you watch him?
since he joined John Joe,
Absolute-
he's been pulled up.
But last year's race was a bad renewal. Like I don't think it was Tiger Roll was brilliant. I just think
Yeah.
the rest of them were poor. Like again at his price, couldn't have Eastland at all. Couldn't have Prengard. I know he was good in France, but again that hurls run was lifeless. Delta Work's interesting, and he's gone over to work. He's got
the fact
the class
they're
to
running
win.
here suggests.
Well, the only thing is it's probably to get him, sort of sweeten him up for the Grand National would be the thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
How was his handicap, Mark?
160.
I don't care. I mean,
the right
can you
answer.
imagine, lads, if Tiger Roll bolts in here and then doesn't run the national? I tell you now, I've seen crazy things and I've seen Paddy Power put up enhancing crazy up. This has to be the craziest move of all time.
They've taken him out already.
We have the
haven't
next red rum, potential red rum for 40 years. If he bolts in here, it'll be one of the funniest things of all. I mean, can you imagine having the absolute only horse for 40 years that can win a treble national not running because he has a lighter weight than Red Rum had when he won his third race? I mean, it's very funny.
Yeah, like Tiger Roll.
Not for Gordon Elliott, but it's very funny.
Like depending what happens the first day, but I think Tiger Roll will go off closer to even money.
Yeah, I was
looking
gonna
at
ask
it.
you that, I mean-
depending on the vibes of Delta
Yeah.
Work, like, look, I've backed Shady Operator each way. I really like the way he's won his two. The first two goes over the banks, and he was just nutted by Midnight Maestro the last day. He'll definitely beat Midnight Maestro at this trip, though. Midnight Maestro won't stay. He went to Cheltenham in December, I think, and blew out.
It's amazing. Tiger. It's because of Tiger Roll reason how much time you spend talking about cross-country chases.
Yes,
now.
it's the only reason. Yeah. I don't tend to like horses first time out in cross-country.
We were talking about the other day. Is it what was the one?
Philip Rothwell.
Gigginstown. Horse won first time out. Davy rode him at the festival.
And Philip Rothwell's horse. I think.
There's a Havel.
That's gone now.
I can't think
Begins
of
with R.
Google it. Google give you all the answers to everything.
It's fine. Somebody will tell us.
But the search engines
somebody
are
put it in the
available.
comments. We'll read it out when we're doing the
Yeah.
questions later. Okay, so cross-country Tiger Roll.
No, yeah.
No, sorry, you're Shady Operator.
I just think, In the Bulger's not dominated like he used to years ago, but this horse, I like the way he won a Punchestown twice. I think he'll appreciate the step up and trip here. And were Tiger Roll to underperform, I think he'd be the one I'd be most interested in.
Yeah. Fives are good about Tiger Roll, aren't they? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Fives would be good, yeah.
Fives.
no, the vibes are good. I didn't say
I
fives
hate
would be
fives
good.
as well. I'm like, where did you get fives?
Any reason to go against Tiger Roll now? Or are you,
I don't know enough about the race.
apart from the fact that he's about 25 years old?
No.
A new story
there
about
is
it,
no
was he
reason,
13
do
or
you know what I
14?
mean?
So.
That okay, fine. Enough around the cross country. Grand Annual, Frank. I'm just going back to you. I'm sorry, handicaps. I'm assuming. I just go straight to Frank. Yeah.
I fancy
Yeah.
Cours Sublime in this, but
Okay.
Frank thinks it won't go up the hill.
I think she runs in the Arkle, actually.
Well, I thought they haven't quite made a decision. There was
It's
a
up in the
discuss
air. I think I
about
saw
it.
Chris Jones in some preview night. Kind of.
That's right.
They're split
last
between
Monday.
the two.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is if he's good enough to win the Grand Annual off that mark, he's probably good enough to go close in the Arkle. Yeah. For me, last year's favourite,
Sky Pirate?
embittered. No, embittered. Third in the county in 2020 behind San
A
Ra.
twinkle in your eye now. Is this?
San Ra, right? San Ra's £18 higher. Araman was second. He's £14 higher. This lad is a pound lower. He went off 92.5 for the Grand Annual last year. Looks too far out to know, but he was still going comfortably and he made a bad mistake and came down. But he's got a very similar prep where he won a couple of races, won a week grade 3 Punchestown. He won in Clarny, beating Poseidon. And he's been campaigned behind Rivière de Tel and then ran behind Blue Lord. But that's exactly what he did last year. He ran in grade 1s and grade 2s and was well beaten and rocked up and went off 92. We're ducking him because I like him. I think you can get 14th on him. So my theory is, if 92 was the correct price from last year, how is he 14 to 1 now in a race that isn't any stronger? Buddy Rich, he is not a horse to be relying on to win you a race. Will he place? Likely. Will he win? No. I'd say definitely no. Ciel Denez got a tough mark. Cours Sublime, I think, might go elsewhere. Edge of the Geet is solid. Amarillo Scry's progressive. I just think he's standing out like a sore thumb at a massive price. Honestly, it's a massive price.
Okay.
Genuine. And
It's not even for me. He was a half length behind Embittered and Killarney, and he's £4 better off.
Okay. So, and on that, are you saying that maybe Embittered might come on more for?
I like the embittered angle.
I just think they're working.
Yeah.
I just think
Working
if he was
towards the Grand
a
Annual
genuine 92 shot last year, it's a very similar prep into it, and we know he's gone well here before.
Yeah.
Like running so well in a red hot county.
I was watching him
And
and
they-
Capucci mix in the race last year, and he was travelling really well.
And the thing is, there's plenty of history of horses who've
Yes.
run well or beaten in the Grand Annual coming back the following year. Le Président was a 7-2 favourite, and he came back the following, and when he finished 8th, and he came back the following year, won at 15-2. I'm just looking at it going, this is not a strong renewal. I'm very, very bullish about
His
it.
voice is even getting shaky.
I know, I can hear it.
John, I
fancy
just
This is
really
great.
fancy it. Yeah, it's getting stuck in like.
Okay, we should take a break so we can go off and back it. Now we have to talk about the bumper before we do take a break. The bumper is it looks like a match. I mean, but like a lot of people are saying, Facile Vega is like greatest thing since Covega or whatever. I mean, I know that it's easy to make the comparison. Has been really, really impressive in bumpers, but we just haven't seen American Mike for ages, because we were saying that about American Mike before Christmas, and then Facile Vega rocks up. Is it a match, first of all, Ruby? Is Facile Vega like as good a bumper horse as Willie's ever sent over there, do you think?
It could be. It's not a match though. Redemption Day is a fair horse, so is James's Gate. Musical Drive won well in his last start. No, it's not a match. It's a bumper. Anything can happen, and especially with the bumper, last race in the day, young horses, crowds, atmosphere. They get below to the start. All the helicopters are leaving. It's a completely different environment for them. But I love
That's interesting. So they're down where the helicopters are, and some of them like flip out before the race.
You can't hear it from the grandstand. Like, the helicopters are just departing in the background behind the trees, and
The
you
horses
barely
going,
hear
what the hell is that?
barely hear the starter. But like American Mike was very good in Avon. I thought Facile Vega was brilliant at Leopardstown, and I'm in the Willie Mullins camp, so yeah, I'm with Facile Vega.
Okay. Lydia?
This race is sort of like peak yak for me. It's just kind of
Okay.
like I just watch it. I have no
Yeah.
opinion. Other people know far more about these horses than I do. So what I like to do is just go and look at them beforehand, watch the race, and think about what they might be in future.
Tony?
Yeah, I haven't seen Willie as excited after a bumper as this dad after, even after Christmas.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, and then again the second time, you know, so if he keeps, you know, if everything goes right and there's no mishaps like helicopters landing on his head or anything, I haven't seen Willie as excited, I think.
So American
Ever.
Mike would be
Ever.
very special to beat him.
Yeah. I think if nothing goes wrong, he'll come home alone.
Right, okay. Said that about Kilcrow
In front.
last year.
And well,
Yeah, I have a strong opinion. Like,
Well, you
we're
bet.
11 to 10 best. He's odds on a lot of places. Absolute crazy price. And my reason is we know nothing about most of these horses. We don't know the ceiling of their ability. No horse should be odds on the champion bumper. Like American Mike clocked really good times. At Navan, he beat, what's the name of the horse? Battling Bessie. Touched off in the Grade 2 at the Dublin Racing Festival. Beat that 17 lengths. He's unbelievable for him. I'd heard, Ruby correct me, but I heard that before Christmas Redemption Day was maybe the one working the best at home. And he done nothing wrong beating Music Drive, who came out and beat Senor Clegane. To me now, if the ground was on the better side, he's the kind of Fernie Hollow versus Facile Vega, the more the appreciated type. Do you know what I mean? To me, he's a speedier type. And I think at the prices, I'd be on Redemption Day. And if there's one at a big price that I'd give a squeak to, it's Mullenbeg for Milton Harris. His strike rate's phenomenal. He's doing some job. I think his strike rate's about 24%. It's phenomenal. And he's got a really good bunch of bumper horses for a small trainer. His strike rate
I
in
was
bumpers
involved
is
with
just...
a horse in Milton Harris many years ago, yeah. Web Perceptions.
He's got good since he got rid of
Finished
it.
second last in the Triumph. We beat a horse at Cheltenham. It's great, yeah.
But he's 26% in bumpers this year. 7 winners and 7
I know,
winners.
unbelievable,
And this
yeah.
thing, she bolted up in Ludlow. That form's worked out quite well. There's a number of winners in behind her, and the ones that haven't won have finished second and third. And then she went to Cheltenham for the rearranged market race and listed bumper, and she bolted up again. She's just very interesting.
did she bolt up in Cheltenham?
In Cheltenham,
She
yeah.
did,
It was
yeah.
the market race and listed mare's bumper,
mixed
and it got cancelled and they rerouted it to
Yeah, in
Cheltenham.
January.
Really good time.
Oh, it was really impressive. It's just she'd be the one at a massive price if you're
Yeah.
looking for, a 5 each way. But for me, Redemption Day, we just don't know how good he could be. I think
He keeps being mentioned every time Facile Vega is mentioned by one of the team. They always mention Redemption Day in the same sentence, which is a bit of a tell, I think.
and I'm not saying Facile Vega can't win. I just mean at 11 to 10.
You're actually making me interested in this race, which is a phenomenon, really. Well done, thank you.
Good man, Frank.
And as I said,
You are in Dublin. You have to be interested in the bumper.
I know.
Yeah, it's like
I
the
know. You
first
said when I was away on road to Cheltenham that I never let
I
you
think
talk about the
yeah.
bumper.
I think they should just rename it the Get Out Stakes.
The
shouldn't
Get
they?
Out Stakes, yeah.
Yeah.
And bring Nina back now after Dancing with the Stars.
That's the only reason I'm here, by the way. I've heard that this is a stepping stone to that. That's right,
well,
isn't it?
exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
what she was last year. Now look at her.
Okay.
Okay, that's day 2 done. So we're going to take a little break. And before we do,
Can we give you an enhancement? Facile Vega, 11 to 10 to 6 to 4.
Okay.
So if you fancy Facile Vega, get 6
and you
to
should,
4.
if you disagree with Frank and agree with everyone else in the world, Facile Vega at 6 to 4 might be a little bit of value. Okay, there's 50 quid. It's the usual shenanigans
usual.
with that. Okay, we have one question, Ruby. Matthew Feeney said, would Ruby Walsh ride an Ergamine or Shakin Persois? You've already kind of answered this, haven't you?
Yeah, right, just you. Picking the two of them, I'd ride Energamine.
Yeah, okay.
How
Because-
would you ride an Edmund?
How would I ride them? I put a leg either side. Hold on to the reins.
Come on.
Would you,
Do you let him get away with
I
that?
know, would you kick on or try something different?
You
Or,
have to do something different, probably.
because you tried it before. You did make a fool of yourself. Maybe you tried something different to beat.
Yeah, man, a bollocks about it. Sorry, excuse my language. Mean, trying to follow Altio.
Trying to find out but you couldn't beat him anyway. Like,
You try something, but like, don't get.
That was the worst. I mean, I think you should have heard the language that I was using against television when you did that.
Yeah. But you'd have to try something. But something needs to go, unfortunately, wrong for Shishkin, I think, and you wouldn't wish that in any of us.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, a great trainer said to me one day, if you stay doing the same thing each day, expecting a different result, that's first
Like
sign of
Albert
madness. So
Einstein,
you have
is
to try something else, and it's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
But if you don't try something else, then you're a very dull and obvious person.
Yeah. Okay.
What they should be trying is put in cash back and a few of them in around them.
Like a flat race, I'm trying to get Frank or see the stars beat. Right, that's it. Time for a break.
It did cross our minds, but there were too many owners involved.
Right, we're going for a 10-minute break. We'll see you back in a few minutes' time. Thanks very much. 5-minute break. 5-minute break. See you back in 5 minutes. Good luck. And we're back, I think. So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody watching at home as well. We're on to day 3 of our Cheltenham preview night. I don't need to tell you who's here. If you're only joining us now, you'll figure out who's here anyway. Bob Ollinger, Galopin Deschamps, Long Press, Brave Man's Game. They're obviously not going to show up. This is the Turner's Novice Chase. Frank, I'll start with you. This is where we're going to get the clash, isn't it? Bob and Galopin.
Can't wait, yeah. It's going to be epic. Be great if Long Press ran as well, but I have a feeling they might go 3 miles.
Everyone's going to avoid these two, aren't they, if they can?
It could be a 4-runner race, like it really could. I'm really excited about it. Look, you have a lot of people knocking Bob Ollinger's jumping. His jumping's fine. It's just he hasn't improved for fences like Galopin Deschamps improved for. He was a brilliant horse over hurdles, and he's still a brilliant horse, but he's not got better for chasing, in my opinion. While Galopin Deschamps has got better.
Arguably the most impressive winner last year.
Oh, he was outstanding. Like the way he went through the race, but it's just you wonder, can Galopin Deschamps put him under pressure with his jumping?
Yeah.
I think if Bob Ollinger's, on his tail turning in, there's only going to be one winner. But I think there's a chance Galopin might have him.
Might be gone.
Might just have him stretched before then. That would be the way I'd read the race. But I'm really excited to watch it. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. I've been the Galopin Deschamps.
I can't wait for this now. I know it's like 11-10, 5-4. I was kind of thinking that almost like Bob Ollinger should be clearer favourite than that.
I don't think it's a given he'll go off.
Sometimes we have recency bias or something because we saw Galopin like massively impressive more recently.
Just 4 minutes, maybe 3 weeks since you saw them. Just look at it, I suppose, rather than guess. 16th of January and the 6th of February, 3 weeks between them since you saw the two of them. Bob Ollinger's a hell of a good racehorse, but I think Frank's summation of it is pretty spot on. And what you think about it, to me, I agree with Frank. And Bob Ollinger had been keen as a novice hurdler. He hasn't been keen over fences. Fences have just slowed him a fraction and made him look where he's going. And I think fences have improved Galopin Deschamps, whereas they have maybe kept Bob Ollinger where he was. That might be good enough still, but it's improved definitely.
But they're two very good horses, not like
they look to be.
Yeah.
The intriguing thing is what happens if Long Press does run here. Frank and I were chatting beforehand and we were wondering whether, because initially after he won the City Isles, Venetia Williams was kind of, well, why would you change your winning formula? Why would you go up in trip? I'd stay at 2.5 miles. That was when everyone was assuming that Galopin Deschamps would run in the Brown Advisory. Now here he is hoving into view here, and suddenly Venetia Williams is starting to talk about the Brown Advisory instead. But Long Press is a very good horse as well, and he is very efficient at his fences. So he's quite interesting as a third prong in all of this, because I totally agree with what Frank and Ruby has said. Galopin Deschamps has improved for fences, he gains ground at his fences, and if he's going to win it, he's going to have to win it out in the country, and putting pressure under Bob Ollinger. And if Bob Ollinger is still there in with a fight, that finishing kick that he's got, because nobody's arguing that he's a brilliant horse, so he's got a brilliant engine, that could win it. The intriguing one is, where is Long Presse in all of that, particularly if those two are looking at each other, because he sits somewhere in the middle. His jumping is sound, he likes going left-handed, he's proven at the track, and he stays, and he's very efficient over his fences, so he kind of sits in the middle of the three of them. So I think it's really fascinating between those. I mean, I'm a massive Galopin Deschamps fan. I think he could be absolutely brilliant over fences, so that's where I'd be going. But I think this could be, if all three of them turn up in particular, and even if just the big two turn up, for me it's the race of the week. I love a brilliant chase. Novice chases are the things that I love.
Isn't it?
It's just brilliant, yeah.
They need to both.
Can I just say, I actually think it's the right move to run Galopin Deschamps here as well. Like,
hallelujah, Frank.
And people are like, they're talking out of their pocket saying, oh, he should run over 3 miles. Album Photo got beaten in the RSA, went on to win a Gold Cup as a 6-year-old. I know the Florida Pearl and there was one more before Don Polly did, but Don Polly was particularly stamina laden, like, you know.
Yes.
Alaho got beaten in an RSA. He would have.
I think they're quite similar.
Yeah, I think the same. Like Galopin Deschamps will be a Gold Cup horse, but as a 6-year-old, history will tell you, run them over shorter first, and he'll be a Gold Cup horse next year. And I think he could run a 3-miler, but I think he'd be a bit more vulnerable than he would be at this trip.
2 fine examples of that are Kicking King and the first Jigginstown winner.
War of Attrition.
War of Attrition. They were 2 horses both beaten 2-mile Arkles and both Gold Cup winners. So it's definitely the right. But I mean, to say that Galopin Deschamps has improved out of all recognition, I think Ruby tipped up Galopin Deschamps as a
25 to 1 shot.
25 to 1 shot last year, didn't you? So I mean,
Belated.
it's not a surprise that he's
Never mentioned it about Cheltenham.
he's not a revelation, and they had seen a lot of ability in him a year ago.
So they're obviously very good hurdlers, and that clearly has translated to fences, which doesn't always happen.
Doesn't always
But if
happen.
you're the best hurdler and you can jump a fence, you tend to be the best chaser. Now, you've said that before.
Yeah,
haven't you?
but I'm not talking about marked improvement or disimprovement. Like Gallopin Deschamps was a very good novice hurdler. He won the 3 mile in Punchestown where he beat Starter and a few more horses. I just think as chasers, Gallopin Deschamps has upped his game, but I don't think Bob Bollinger has.
But Bob Bollinger was better over hurdles, probably.
Yes.
He was already up there.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
So fascinating.
It is.
Great race. So do you nail your colours to the mast in this, or you just kind of go?
I'm in Gallopin Deschamps' camp.
Me
I
too.
I just hope nothing goes wrong Friday and we get to see what happens.
Yeah. And you're galloping, obviously galloping, Tony.
Oh, Gallopin, always Gallopin, he is the one, yeah.
I'll go for Bob. So, right. The second race is the Pertemps. So unless anyone has a strong opinion, I'll go straight to Frank.
I wouldn't have this, like Gordon's going to have a lot, and Dunboyne's obviously very interesting, but is there much juice in his price either? 15 to 2, probably not. Alaphilippe, a lot of good judges like him. He was obviously very eye-catching at Warwick. Last year, Fergal O'Brien had Imperial Alcazar win that race and probably gave
Yeah,
up.
you talked about this before. In
He
the
gave
podcast,
up,
yeah.
I think, winning the Pertemps by winning so well at Warwick, probably. Winter Fog's gone very short now. I think Kevin Blake napped it during the week. Again, I'm not sure he's out and out 3 miler. You wouldn't go too far wrong backing horse to finish 6th in a Pertemps qualifier. And one eye night was Falcano. He went off 15 to 2.
Ridiculous race.
15 to 2 in the Martin Pipe last year, and he fell at the first, brought down Gabanaco. But he went off 15 to 2 against Langerdan and Gallopin Deschamps. Tell you what kind of confidence. Trying to figure out what's been, what horse's like sole purpose is this race in March. I think his aim from the start of the season is the Pertemps in March.
Yeah.
Whether he's good enough, I'm not sure, and whether he's a.
He was second at Aintree in November behind Bruin Up a Storm. Lisnagar Oscar was third. Martello Sky was fourth in that race. But he's dropped all the way to 137 for a horse who had a lot of ability. He's plummeting.
I don't
It's a
think he
big
likes
chance.
the track. I think he's a bit of a pig as well.
Maybe, but he's down to a fairly reasonable mark.
I do. I'm sorry, but I do. Sorry, everybody. How about the side of Burley? Do we think that he retains?
They're going to put a £7 claim on him as well, aren't they?
yeah.
You can't knock his Cheltenham record.
No.
Of course, the only time I backed him was when the Martin Pipe when he got beaten.
I'll never forget the day with Barry Garrity riding him in the Pertemps. You could just see him coming through the field, like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, okay. So sorry to Burley. He's won the race twice before, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
he has. Headgear switch should be
top
interesting.
weight the second time, yeah. Okay, so we're not sure. You're saying Falcano. You're
Falcano
saying
would be
Dunboyne tip,
Dunboyne.
but like.
I wouldn't back Falcano now. He's almost certainly
But
going
this
to
is
be
a
third or
certain
fourth.
weight for the day one. This is
Definitely,
six places
this is 6
or
or
whatever.
7 places, and I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if Davy Russell or Jack Kennedy are on him, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I'd still back him if he's like 20 to 1, which I wouldn't be surprised if he is.
It's amazing because there's 10 to 1 antipode or whatever. I know it's not.
But, like the margins being taken now are very defensive. Like when you get to the day of the race or the day before the race, they're better really tight margins.
And it's
that's
funny you
when
said it because just people mightn't realise that actually, kind of anti-post is nearly an advertisement of Cheltenham, isn't it? Because you actually don't want to be strung up because on the day you don't have your hands tied behind your back.
That's
you
like
can't
you're saying,
be competitive with
if you can
something,
manage
so.
your liabilities to a certain extent, then you can go hell for leather after the ones
Yeah,
you want
because
to
like
take
98% of what we
at
take in the
fest.
race is done
exactly.
on the day. Like, yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to be going in with a huge liability on something and then having to, shape your betting makeup around it.
Is that different from the good old days of anti-post betting then?
It probably was, but I tell you, because my father was an on-course bookie, and he used to always say that he'd hate to stand up at Cheltenham knowing he was already laid one to lose 20 grand or something, because it would ruin how you're going to do your
Limits your
book.
position, yeah.
Do you really think though that the casual punter anti-post betting back then is or was what it is now? Like you even go road to Cheltenham or up in the ante, if they tip up something, it's just bang, rake of bets for
there's so much.
raw than before.
Your fault. I don't tip anything.
And also there wasn't the amount of races, so you'd never be
but they're all
double
priced.
entered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like even the handicaps are priced
You're a
up from
2.5
January.
miler.
Like,
You took your chances with the 2 miler and the 3 miler. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
But like you'll hear of people having big bets, in years gone by at anti-posts. But I don't think there was the weight of casual cash.
Well, you see, a lot of anti-posts that time was they knew exactly where they were going. With the extra day now in these 2.5 mile races, where it used to be 2 or 3 miles, things were pretty definitive and lads did it. I'm surprised. You'd know more. I mean, is the anti-post a big thing now?
Oh, like I say, look, as a percentage of what you're going to hold on the day, it's not. But I mean, the liabilities are significant, like on certain horses.
So that's why they do it, is to get a good price. But I mean...
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, as in, last year would have been a particularly bad year for a bookmaker, anti-post, because the fields were reduced, there was no social runners, a lot of the anti-post favoured ones and the multiples clicked, and our bosses weren't overly happy with us.
From the punter's point of view, it feels comparatively dead, I feel, don't you? Because you think horse X might make up to that race, and you look at what price it is, and it's like 4 to 1 to get that. I mean, good God.
Yeah.
But it is, like, as in, it's very, the problem is it's non-runner, no bet. That's what's, like, the casual punter's crying for it, but you lose out in price as a result. Personally, I prefer to take the chance of losing my money and get a bigger price, but that's up to the individual.
So would I, but this is a whole different argument.
Well, I listen to punters talking about betting anti-post, and as you say, 4 to 1. They should train horses for a while and just know the odds of getting to Cheltenham.
But isn't it like as in, if you don't think the price is value, just don't back it. Do you know what I mean? Like the point of backing anti-post is that you think you're beating the price significantly. If you don't think you're beating the price significantly, what are you doing backing it?
Well, I know, but some, part of punting, that's fine if you are purely punting to make money, and obviously everybody in their own mind is doing that. But quite often they're doing it just to prove their knowledge, aren't they? They sort of say, I think that this is a Gold Cup horse, or I think that this is a Championship horse.
You have to tell everyone before the race, just in case
but
it goes wrong.
Exactly.
But if you think it's a Gold Cup horse and you think the price is going to drift or it's too short, just wait till a day and back it, and you can still tell people to back the winner. But,
let's get back to talking about Cheltenham. Right. The Ryanair Chase is next. This is like...
No need to delay.
Peak dilution.
Well, hang on a sec. Allaho could be a certainty, but...
But what?
Okay, but Shan Blue
No.
was going to absolutely hose up when he fell the last time.
No.
Been, as we said, Dan Skelton's view now is like to give them a big break before Cheltenham. He'll come there fresh.
Flat track.
I'll tell you what he'll do. He'll break his neck if he tries to keep up to Allaho. That's what
the
he'll do.
Marsh last year.
Allaho, like, we just...
I'd have to say Shan Blue's a place lane. He'd be a place lane.
Yeah, I agree with you totally.
Really,
I think he's a flat track horse. I think he wants a flat track.
You run him in.
Yeah. I think Miss Cheltenham with him entirely and win him at Aintree. Absolutely.
So Allaho is just one for your multis.
I mean, you're talking about back in Appreciate It, who hasn't run all year, that Gaelic, whatever he is, that has never run nearly in Europe. And they're back in these at even money in that.
France is Europe. France is
Yeah,
Europe.
I think it is. France is,
And it's part of the EU as well, which Cheltenham isn't.
Europe, definitely Europe.
Allaho here at a slightly shorter price, proven, does what it says on the tin every time. I mean, he's just, this is a good thing now.
Yeah.
The others are opinions. This just, the Twin Towers come down on his head, he'll still win.
I can't see him being beaten. Like, I'll be honest with you, if I owned him, he'd be running the Gold Cup because I think he'd win the Gold Cup.
Right.
But
these days, you think he'd stay it now?
I think he would. Like, as in...
But you'd have Tar running for you as well in the Gold Cup. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as in, Album 4 didn't look like a stair. He was nearly legless when he fell.
Well, here, look at the betting, Frank. Right?
Sizing
Second, an Ergamine is going to run the Champion Chase.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think
Plutard is surely not going to take on Allaho, and they're both owned by the same people. Check on Poor Swah, will be gone home in an ambulance at that stage. Conflated is more than likely, well, Gordon is trying to put your man into the Gold Cup. So now you're on to Shan Me Boy. So, I mean, you're out to the sixth horse in the betting to look for a danger. So,
oh no, I think he'll win. Like I say, I think he's that good that he should be running the Gold Cup because I think he'd win the Gold Cup, to be dead honest.
Would this be the banker, Ruby?
Yeah, he's rock solid. Like, I'm just not as brave as the rest of you. Like, I had 4 brilliant rides one day. I thought one of them was a certainty, and she fell. The other 3 won.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but there's always the danger of falling. But there's no horse going to beat him.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking for something to fall into second behind him.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Eldorado Allen.
Okay.
Because he was given a similar type ride to fall into second behind Shishkin in the Arkle last year. I think he's in better form, probably a better horse this time round, better at this trip. I think they won't get involved and he'll fall into second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd back to St Calvados around the start of the year. Look, if ever a horse bleeding is a good thing, I think it was, if he had run that race at Ascot to the finish, I think it was a gruelling test that day, and I think he'd have no chance of hitting the frame. But if Paul Nichols getting back to his best, I think he's a chance of hitting the frame. He has a good record at Cheltenham. He should have probably beaten me in the Ryanair 2 years ago. Look, he has an awful lot to prove off the back of bleeding, but if he ran to his best.
So that won't guarantee to be second.
Which one?
Melon.
That's
Mellon loves finishing second. That is definitely true.
Yeah. I just said he was guaranteed to be second.
Yeah.
There you go.
But does the presence of Allaho dishearten him? Because he's quite easily disheartened, isn't he, Mellon?
No, well, we say that we still finish a second, you know. So
I think he'd be second.
Anyway, Allaho is a good thing, right? From an uncompetitive Grade 1 to a very, very competitive Grade 1. That's hard to make head nor tail of. This is the Stayers Hurdle, sponsored by our good selves. Florian Porter's the favourite after last year. Would you say Classical Dream just stole that race on Florian Porter?
No, definitely not.
You think that was
not the way in which he ran? No, not the sectionals that he ran. Absolutely not. No, he
So
didn't
he's a player.
steal the race. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've backed Classical Dream, and I really want my head looking, really, because how would you back the horse after how it ran last time? But I'm just going to ignore that. This is a very un-me argument, but I'm just going to ignore that and think that at his very best, Classical Dream is clearly the best horse in that race, and he's going to either completely blow out or run really well. And I think that's a reasonable price that he is at the moment. It's that 4 to 1.
4 to 1,
yeah. I think that's it's probably just about short enough. I'd want to maybe a point longer at minimum, but nonetheless, I think if he turns up and runs his race, his good race, he wins. There is a possibility that he completely blows out. I think.
Was he your last chap?
The ring the last day, and I had been a huge fan of Champs. I think he was half ready in January, and I think the single best piece of form that any of those horses have is Champ beating Allaho and Minnelinda, and I can't make head or tail of it. He's the one outside him.
But he's just not to be trusted, is he, Champion?
But which one of them is to be trusted?
Well, that is true.
Well, I'd be more worried about Florian Porter than even Classical Dream going a bit
from the bit of the
crowd.
head case thing.
He wants to hang in behind Classical Dream.
He did at Leopardstown.
Yeah.
Like even
Such a great name, doesn't it?
if he'd kicked off with Classical Dream, I
Florian
think he'd done the
Porter,
same thing anyway.
Yeah.
With a
See,
100
I
behind
thought
him.
it was, if Florian Porter his name, I thought it was about
Drinking Guinness, but it's
about
not at all.
drinking Guinness at all. The two boys that own him.
Yeah. But,
it's a very wide open race, and again, it's not a massive price, but I think Philip Hobbs should run Sporting John here. And my reasoning is, he won a Grade 1. He beat Chamblou in the City Isles over fences. He was a 5 to 1 shot in end violence.
Sandown is an uphill track.
Yeah.
He's a flat track off Chamblou. That's what you said.
But I'm just saying that we know he has the Grade 1 ability. He's won at Cheltenham earlier in the year off a mark of 146. He won at Warwick off 151. He's rated 155. Florian Porter came through the handicap ranks last year. He had no graded form until Leopardstown when he won there, and then came on and won here. He's 7. He's not that old. And this is a wide open race. I agree with Lydia. Classical Dream is the best horse in the race, but you don't know what's going to turn up.
An interesting one now that I was talking to Danny the other day, and I said he got beat at Christmas. Yes, he says, but I think that his run at Christmas was better than his win last year. That clearly leaves Classical Dream, if he doesn't bomb out, as the better horse.
I think what's interesting is when he won at Punchestown, the market strength on the day, I think he was 14 to 1 the night before and he went off 9 to 2. And it was just very telling for a horse that hadn't run so long to come back into a Grade 1, get hammered in the market and win like he did. You have to be very good to do that.
And Willie's saying I just read about this, that he just wishes he hadn't run last time. Do you know anything more about that?
Yeah, he said he shouldn't have run him. He hadn't prepared him for it and he just ran him local track or whatever. And says he shouldn't have run him.
So verdicts, come on, verdicts. We've talked all around the houses here.
I genuinely think Sporting John's got a huge chance if he runs.
Champ for me.
Classical Dream.
And the fourth different one, I'm going for Paisley Park as the old reliable.
Okay, there you go.
And, there's questions about them all. I
No,
think
there is
Paisley Park
Time
is
Hill.
fairly
Is
reliable.
that, are we just...
You were a big Time Hill fan.
Yeah, just the more I kept watching Ascot, I think Champ's Ascot run wins this.
Yeah, you've a lot of
Fine. It's your opinion?
You've a lot of unreliable ones here.
Oh.
Yeah, really.
Right, the plate. This is one where I was fancying Imperial Alcazar, was it?
Yeah.
For the other race. But he's here. He's shorter for this race. This may be the race where he goes. He won by 10 lengths at Cheltenham the last time. That's the only bit of form I know.
He was very good the last day.
Yeah. Does anybody have a strong opinion on this before I throw to?
Not a strong opinion. I think the Glancing Queen will run well. I think it's a really good. She's got some good form behind L'Empresse over at the course. I think she runs the track well. The body of her form is strong. I think she's taken really well to fences. I want to go through the race again, but at the moment I'm feeling positively, instinctively disposed towards her.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I'd be going with another mare, ties in with the Glancing Queen, Vienna Court.
Yeah.
She's definitely improved for stepping up to 2.5. She bolted up in a mare's handicap chase in December off 1, 2, 3. She won by 11 lengths. There's a few subsequent winners in behind her. And then she went to Cheltenham again on New Year's Day and against the Geldings. And I thought Simply the Bets was an absolute good thing that day. And turning in, I was like, here we go, going collecting. And Vienna Court whizzed by and did me a length and a half, but it was like 10 or 11 lengths back to the third. And she only went up, did she go up £5 or something? Something not that much. Or she went up 6 or 7, and then she got beaten in a listed race, small field listed race. I don't think it would have suited her at Huntingdon. She got dropped 2. She's running off 141. Now there's a chance she goes to the Mayor's Chase, but if she goes in here, I think she's got a right chance. Okay. And she's a fair price.
It's Nigel Twiston Davies who's going to go for the Grade 2.
Probably, yeah.
Unless he supplements her for the Gold Cup.
So Vienna Court and the Glancing Queen, right? They're the two. I presume the Tony and Ruby, nothing?
No.
Okay, Grant. Let's move on to the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. This is the usual. It's Willie Mullins against Gordon Elliott, or so it seems. Willie's got 2 at the top, Brandy Love and Dino Blue, and then Gordon is Party Central. Does anybody have a strong view?
I do. I have a really strong view here. I think Dino Blue is mustard. I was
Do you?
really impressed with how she won at Clonmel. I thought it was really interesting that Willie Mullins felt that he didn't need to run her again. She's only run once for him, and he's put her away, laid her out for this. I thought she's jumped really slickly. She finished really strongly. I think she can only improve massively. Really lightly raced horses have quite a good record in this, and quite often they're trained by Willie Mullins. She's a half sister to Blue Sari, who ran really well in the bumper. I don't fancy Brandy Love at all. I just cannot see that with.
She's. I'd agree. Brandy Love couldn't have her like this. Thinking that going left-handed will sort out all her issues is.
Till she jumps the fence.
Yeah, I just can't have it. I think she's. I couldn't have 11-4.
She's actually a better lay, isn't she? Well, having mentioned Mount Ida earlier, actually the one to be against is much better. Is Brandy
and like
Love.
Dino Blue definitely is a bit. Just the experience will worry me. Only having one start, she definitely got a bit.
Didn't Concertista just get narrowly beaten on her debut over hurdles?
Yeah, but she did get beaten though. Didn't she?
Lydia has stolen my thunder.
Oh,
this
sorry.
was my banker for the week as well.
Was it really?
Yeah, Dino Blue.
Wow, double nap.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
I
treble
think-
nap race. That's pretty disappointing for everybody
Like-
watching. All the naps are the same race, and the Mayor's Novice.
But when you look at Party Central, like she beat Brandy Love in a bumper at Leopardstown, the Dublin Race Festival last year. Grand G came past her and did her late. But I think in hindsight, looking at the way Party Central races, she was in front too soon there. She definitely needs to be delivered late. You look at how Davy rode at the Dublin Race Festival. Yes, she was running in a handicap off a mark of 121. She was chucked in. But how easy she went through the race and how easy she got to the front. And she did start to pull herself up a bit. And that's not the first time she did it. She did it at Punchestown as well, when Humble Glory nearly caught her. She had one bad run up and down Royal, but if you go back and watch it, she jumps a little bit right as Glan jumps left at, I think, the second last. I think she hits into Glan and something happened because Davies basically pulled her up nearly straight away and let her coast home. I put a line through that. But she's
pulled
one
her
now
up?
where even at 9-2.
Frank, you're saying he pulled her up?
He just eased off her like. But
The Mayor eased off. I don't think Davy did.
I don't know.
I don't know. That was my reading of it.
But if you back her at 9-2 and put in a lay at like 1.5 or 1.6, you'll be able to get out because she's going to cruise out the back. She's going to cruise into the straight. you're hoping something of Willie's will take her to beyond the last hurdle. And I think if something does, I think she'll win. Your worst case scenario for her would be that she's with one jumping the last, and that one came down and she was left on her own. I think something could go and do her. But I think she's loads of ability, and honestly, I've been snatching at her now for a while.
So your nap of the meeting is a hound, is that what you're
No,
saying?
it's not a hound at all. She's just a tricky ride. But to be fair to Davy Russell,
Jesus, give me
there's not
that
too many.
scenario again. One is going on the bridle, there's another one
I said
outside.
that would be your worst case scenario for her. But I mean that she's left on her own, or that
How
she's
could
in
you
front
even
too
dream
soon.
it up? Hans Christian Andersen wouldn't be able to write that script, so anyway.
Look, we'll keep it simple. She will win.
Okay,
All
Ruby.
right. Oh, lovely.
Willie is a mare there never ran called Night and Day. She'll bet him on.
Really?
50 to 1.
Night and day. This is the concertista
The
of this year.
concertista angle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell me why. Is there a reason why? Just the fact that he's
Something
runner.
controversial to say.
Yeah.
Do you really
Is
believe
this your nap of the
No.
week? Is this your nap of the week?
No, he's just making it up.
I'm just looking down through there and saying, what can I throw in here? Just see if everyone's listening.
Do you know that'll win now? Will you see?
He's going to be shortened already, 10 points.
Dino Blue. Yeah, I'd be
Second.
in the camp of Dino Blue, but I wouldn't put anyone off back in Night and Day each way. I don't think she'll win, but she'll run a big race.
Why
Okay.
do you like Dino Blue, Tony?
I just thought she was very classy on the day, and I hear that she's going very well. And I think it's, a vote of confidence when Willie didn't have to run her again.
I agree.
Okay.
And it's better than backing one at 2 to 1 or less that hasn't run yet. So I just think Dino Blue is going to be my bet of the week.
Okay, perfect. Right, Lydia, last race is the Kim Muir.
No
Have you
idea.
got
Absolutely
idea?
no clue whatsoever. I'm going to have a look at it again.
We can rattle through the rest.
I remember
There's no
thinking,
problem at
is Frontal still going to get in the race? He is in there. I see he's a bit of a wise guy horse, isn't he? And all the sort of previews so
Yeah.
far. So I need to have another look at that.
all.
Maybe.
Okay.
Schoolboy hours.
What?
Schoolboy hours.
Schoolboy hours, tell me why.
Won the Paddy Power.
Won the Paddy Power. 9-year-old, 142. Beat Ben Dundee. He'll probably run in the Ultimate if he runs well. This horse will short and I think he's a great chance.
Is he definitely going to run in the Kimure?
Schoolboy hours.
Yeah. I heard he was going to
He
run in
stays
the Ultimate,
in-
but
I don't know. I just
just wonder.
Just
It
jumps-
would look
jumps
the
off
obvious
page.
race for him, wouldn't it?
no better do me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
no,
two
no,
for
no,
schoolboy
money back,
hours.
whatever it's called.
I've actually had a bet in this there when the weights came out, Mr. Fog Patches. I'm not saying he'll definitely win, but he's guaranteed he'll be thereabouts.
Yeah, he's always placed
So
in the big
consistent.
races.
Like he's played placed in the Scottish National. He won a Punchestown over 3 miles 7.
Who'll ride him?
I don't know who'll ride him. I was hoping they might get Barry O'Neill or something, but I haven't a clue.
That's what I'm saying. It's very important in a Kimure to have. Like, I mean, Jimmy Codd, right, enhances your horse by a stone.
So is that a tactic? Do you have a look at the jockey bookings and
Oh,
just go?
yeah. Like, I mean, the jockey bookings, well, of course, Ruby, in my opinion, the best jockey I ever saw. So that was a
Thanks,
very
Tony.
important factor in in its time. But when you get to the amateur races, it's more amplified.
Yeah, there's
You
a
know, so
bigger gap.
Jimmy Codd and Patrick
They're
there
basically
are
broke.
just like so much ahead. Barry O'Neill is getting into that league now. And there's a few coming along, obviously, as there always are, and then they turn professional and that, but if they're a bit heavy, they'll stay. But Jamie Codd in these jump races, he's been in the standing dish for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I'd be hoping Schoolboy hours might have Derek O'Connor. He'd do
Yeah,
it.
he's another top class,
Yeah.
you know. They're the 3 riders you look for.
Yeah. Okay.
But if someone decent's on Mr. Fogpat, he'll definitely give you a run.
Yeah, but
for
that's what I'm
money.
saying, who's left?
I don't know. Like you're
Ron
saying,
James would do me. Clement
he,
Seven.
he's riding frontal assault, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big
That's
chance.
what I
Jamie
heard.
Codd's and Smoking Gun. That's all we know so far.
See, you're getting down to, I mean, for me, in a Kimure, you have
Yeah.
to know the
I'd
jockey
be-
before you move.
I'd be hoping it's Barry O'Neill, but like his
Yeah,
form,
he'd do.
His, he'd definitely
yeah.
do. Like
But
if
after
you look at his
that, you're in
form,
trouble.
like he's
There's got to be
third.
some younger ones coming through, surely, haven't there?
Yeah, and it'll be obvious in about 5 years' time when they start riding winners, but like it's not obvious today.
Sorry, Frank. Go on,
Harry
sorry, I didn't
Swan.
interrupt you.
Huh?
Harry
Yeah,
Swan.
Harry Swan. But he lacks a lot of experience now when you get to Cheltenham. He's going to be one of the ones, but he lacks a lot of
Keep
experience.
an eye on the jockeys anyway. Right.
Keep an eye on the jockeys in the amateur
Mr.
races.
Fogpat. It's like
Give us our enhance.
Oh
for
yeah,
day 3.
Allo 8:13 to even money.
Even
Give
money.
people a few bob to go punting.
Well, to
into
be honest with
it.
you, from what we discussed about the Ryanair, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Tony's going up and they have a bot account there and everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's day 3 done. Do we have questions after day 3, or we? No, we've no questions after day 3. Send some questions in if you want.
We've
We'll do
obviously
them.
been very dull.
We'll do them after day
Or else
4.
we've covered everything.
I think we've answered
we've
every
covered
question
everything,
anyone could possibly have.
That's it.
Right, we're on the home stretch, kind of the Triumph Hurdle on day 4. We have Vauban is a certainty versus Pied Piper hammered all the English versus this is the new course, so the straight is longer, therefore Vauban's speed might not be as much of a factor. Ruby, how do we make head or tail? Phil Dorr was going to be a good thing in the Triumph until we saw Pied Piper win, etc., and Vauban beat him.
I don't honestly know. I think there's not much between Vauban and Pied Piper. I think a good jump. Pied Piper was very good.
Can we agree that the Irish horses seem to be miles ahead of the juveniles?
Yes.
They do. Night Salute, Porticello, Dr. Parnassus are the best of the English, but the Irish form does look to be stronger. Willie also has Iker Allen, and he let Tomp, who I thought ran a blinding race first time out at Leopardstown, first run over hurdles, ran up to 5.5 lengths behind Vauban, not that far behind Field Or. I think that's an amazing first run over hurdles, and I think at the prices of 14-1 for me, I let Tomp is incredible each way value.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's a run, probably run to 140 first time over hurdles, a bit more even. That's an incredible figure first time out.
Okay.
I would think anyway.
Which one's the Irish ones, Lydia?
I agree with him. Back to Iletiton at 20s. He's now 12s, 14s. I still think that's too big. I think he could take a huge step forward. I respect Vauban. I thought he did it very straightforwardly. I think the Irish are ahead of the British. Vauban and Pied Piper, they were very close before. You could argue it in two different ways. Did the race fall apart behind Pied Piper? Probably. There probably wasn't much up against him at Cheltenham. The best British horse, in my opinion, is Night Salute. Because I think,
Harris again.
Yeah, because he just does enough. And I think he's got a little bit more up his sleeve than the other British trained horses. And I could see him easily finishing a mighty 4th.
A mighty 4th. Okay. Tony?
The McManus horse there, what's his name again? That
Icar
French?
Allen.
No,
Il était
the
temps?
Willie horse.
Icar Allen.
Yeah, Icar Allen. Yeah. Just
It's my
Sorry, I was just-
pronunciation. That'll be
yeah.
that lovely.
Why,
Yeah,
sorry, tell me why is Icar Allen going to be better than... Icar Allen finished behind Vauban, right? Is that right?
Yeah, Leopardstown. Yeah.
One since.
yeah. There's, I just think he's going to improve, or I'm hearing that he's the improver.
Okay, right, interesting.
And the top ones are very tight, and I don't see them that superior.
Jumping is his frailty, isn't it? I mean, against Vauban, he jumped awfully. And it was a much easier race last time.
The one thing that's mildly strikes me, Frank, is that we've of the ins to the Mullins yards, neither have gone for Vauban, if you like. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is mildly interesting.
Well, he's very tight for what he's done.
But when
He's
he's
favourite.
yeah, he's a short price. But I mean, when you hear what Willie's saying about him like that, the Triumph Hurdle is the least of what he expects him to achieve.
Okay.
You're kind of.
But
stand
the
on
things
table.
he's talking about that he expects to achieve aren't necessarily consonant with winning a Triumph Hurdle, are they? They're consonant with winning maybe a Supreme or a Champion Hurdle, but a Triumph Hurdle requires much more stamina. He's talking about a flat campaign. Are they the same things? I mean, clearly he's a high-class horse.
He is speedy as well. If it was like a Triumph Hurdle when Barazan belted out in front, and Soldatino ran him down, I think that would be the scenario where Vauban would be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think if it's, they're all, there's 7 or 8 in contention swinging in, he'll do most of them with a turn of foot. I'd agree, Elliot. I won't even try and say because I always butcher the French
Give us a
names.
go with your French accent.
I'll do it in a real Cork one. Elle était Tom Spy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, perfect.
And I think, look, he's definitely interesting. Do you know what? Really struck me.
That's 3 tips for
But
a
you know
12,
what?
14 to
I
1
won't
shot.
give him a tip, but Teddy Blue is very interesting. I'll tell you why. I priced him the day he ran at Linkfield. I thought he was interesting on his French form. And he got beaten by a relatively low-rated mare in bad ground. And I was like, we've been laying some money for him for the Triumph. And I was like, that has no chance. Back out to 100 to 1. Then we priced that to happen. Pied Piper would have to get out to 7 to 2 or 4 to 1.
At that
And
stage,
for
you'd be
me,
tempted, I guess.
if Pied Piper hits 3 to 1, you'd have to back it.
Okay, so the price dictates whether
I
it's value or not.
I just think Pied Piper, people are kind of come to the conclusion, if Vauban hadn't made a mistake at the last, he would have beat him. But listen to Gordon, he wasn't fit that day.
Definitely.
So it's too simplistic to just say, oh, Vauban's won a Grade 1, he would have beat him that day, so therefore he's the better horse. We don't know how much Pied Piper stepped forward. It looked like a huge amount.
But Frank, if we're listening to Gordon, and I take that point entirely, I think it's a good one. He's also saying that maintaining that Phil Dora is the slightly better horse of the two, and he maintains that Phil Dora has still got every chance. So therefore, Phil Dora surely is overpriced comparatively with Pied Piper.
Oh, potentially, yeah. Like, as in, I think he will need it to be a proper stamina test.
Might he make it so himself?
I don't know.
I mean, that is what he's going to need, isn't he? And that's also the way that you potentially draw out the sting from Vauban and Pied Piper.
Well, does he need, like, he might not need to make it, but I think he needs to be kind of take it up down the hill.
Push it,
exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not to turn into a sprint. But
2 hurdles to jump in the last 7 furlongs. So it's a very tough race to be going early.
Yeah, but
anything I think that's
yeah, but I'm saying
going
that, like, if you go back, Barazan
almost did it. He did almost
like
do
he
it.
was only caught very late.
Yeah, and Goshen was
Almost.
miles clear
Yeah.
as well.
Goshen.
Look, we're just kind
Or
of
one
talking
Barazan.
Them won that.
about
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
They don't win.
Although Goshen probably gets a free pass.
Right, we'll go on to what used to be my least favourite race of the week because it meant it was all over. County Hurdle, but it's in a few more to go. Ruby, can I ask you about State Man? It's the favourite here tonight. It's entered in a load of different races.
Yeah.
Do you know? Is there
No,
an
he's in the
indication?
Supreme as well.
And the
He's
Martin
rating-
Pipe, isn't it? And everything,
yeah, and
yeah.
the Coral Cup. He's rating of 141. I'd say that's a fair mark for him. Personally, I couldn't see him running in the Coral. I think if he was going to run in a handicap, it would be on the new course, as Tony said, with a bit less jumping for a novice.
Yeah.
So it'd be this or the Martin Pipe if he was to run in a handicap. That's providing he doesn't take his chance in the Supreme. I don't really know. He's a horse I like. I think he's a good horse.
Okay, so decent, but a fair rating means
Yeah, we wouldn't we'd be hoping
well,
he's a better than 141 horse, but he does lack experience. He's had 3 runs, he's fallen once.
Yeah.
So he'd probably need to be better than the mark to win with his lack of experience.
Is there anybody has that's going
Can I make a confession?
Of course you can.
I don't think I've ever backed the winner of the county hurdle.
Wow. I remember.
Can I blow me hole?
Yeah,
It's the only race I ever won in After about 40 years ago there.
I remember back in Fontenazy.
Ooh.
Timmy Murphy down the outside. 33, 28 to 1, I think.
He didn't beat Tumbling Dice, did
Out to the bank link machine to get cash, and on the way out I had my last few quid on. I just threw it on the tote, number 28. I think it was number 28. I just threw it on number 28 on the nose. I went out to the bank and then to get my money or whatever, and came back in just as the race was off. And I was looking at it across the bar on the telly. I just up the outside. Fontenazy, I was here. Is that number 28? I was here. That's great. Anyway, that's one of my punting stories. Does anybody fancy it in the county
Sounds
hurdle?
like you put a lot of thought into that
Yeah,
one.
exactly. Yeah. I probably picked up my
Frankie's
race.
kind of, I do not recognise it, I do not understand this.
I probably picked up my racing
Just
post
said
and I
it.
dropped my pen at some stage. There was a little mark beside it for some reason.
Well, if the Ben Skelton freshen up job is like, doesn't that bring West Cork back into it?
Yeah, there I was going to ask you about West Cork.
It's a great place. You should go there for a week.
If Adagio is placed in
Mildly.
the champion hurdle, won't West Cork be?
It's a definite
A beauty,
chance. I'm sure,
yeah.
like, he obviously has a great record in the race, and
Yep.
yeah, look, he's obviously a state man, probably very well handicapped. But I mean, we haven't missed that either. He's 9-2. Can't really shorten up too much more. Like, the county hurdle is competitive as it gets. I can't see him, like, what's his bottom price? 7-2 with a push. Like, that's if he's.
Depends on
absolutely
whether
fine.
Ruby naps him.
Yeah.
But do you remember Echoes and Rain was going to win the champion hurdle? And
Oh,
it
she's
was this time of year that Echoes and Rain kind of suddenly, wow.
But you know what happened?
Is there any chance?
She ran too well the last day and she got bumped up £6. She was rated 143 and they put her up to 149. And what's she running at now? Is she like 150? Still doable, but I mean, if she got in off her Irish mark of 143 plus 1 or 2 and she's running off 144 or 145, you'd be a lot more interested.
Okay.
She definitely has a big chance because I think the big field scenario, you could just see her cutting through them.
Yeah.
The one I thought was interesting is Gringo Debrel for Gordon. Second to Blazing Cal, beat Adamantly Chosen, beaten in the Challow
Shallow,
Hurdle
is that the
behind
one- and
stage
came
there.
stand side?
Yes, and then What did he do the last day? He was second the last day.
They
wasn't
ran it really, again, quickly behind something quite good, didn't they?
he? Yeah, it was something.
That's not even in the betting that I can see.
It's 20-1.
It's interesting, this.
He was second at Punchestown to Dicer Dynamo.
Yeah,
that was
that's
it. Beat
Gringo
19
de
lengths.
Brel, is
But
it?
that was only a week after
Yeah.
he'd run behind Stage Star on testing ground.
Yeah.
He's
It's
got a
that
mark.
move to the stand side that interested me.
Yeah, like he's got a mark of 135, and I'd be surprised. Like even looking at
Will
Adam
he
and
get in
Chosen,
off 135?
He's
cut
number
off.
he's number
Right.
52.
Just the cut off the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's bang on. He might but I mean, again, we're not running no bet. If he doesn't run, you get your money back. But I mean, he's very interesting.
So, but okay, he's 20-1. Is he the one? Like again, there's another race you're going to be getting paid 6 or 7 places. But is this one going to be 9-2, or is 20-1 going to be a price?
I don't think he's really going to shorten up too much between now and then. But I mean, if Davy Russell or Jack Kenny's on board,
Suddenly, yeah.
then like that's when you have to go straight away then and back it.
All bets are on rather than off.
Yeah.
He didn't get home in the cello. It looks like
Oh no,
this
he's a
trip would be
two-miler.
ideal for him.
And I just think, look, he was never going to get near Dice Dynamo.
Yeah.
But I mean, as in for a run to qualify for a mark, or I think.
Yeah, no, don't mix up Dicer Dynamo with
Dice or Diamond.
with the Westerner horse that's in the novice hurdles. Like, I mean,
Oh no, that's the one.
That's
Dice
the
or
one.
Dynamo. That's who he
Yeah,
ran
yeah,
behind.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
In
ran
the
it
Moscow
to novice.
Flyer, so he was 19 lengths behind.
I was mixing
But as a
them up with the
handicap,
other horse.
prospect now, I think he's interesting.
Okay. Right. That was Gringo de Brel.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Perfect. The Albert Bartlett's next. This is. I mean, is Hillcrest going to run? Was this? Did I hear he might be skipping?
I don't know. I mean, Henry Daly does quite like Aintree,
Yeah.
and I could see the Sefton suiting Hillcrest really well. Personally, I would wait for Aintree with
Yeah.
Hillcrest. I love the horse. I think he's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Just this
Many
is a
years
real
back at
chance
Cheltenham.
of a winner, like for.
Yeah, I don't. Does he? I mean, does he want to slog? I don't know whether he does. But I mean, he's quite brilliant. I think he's a really, really good horse. I personally would wait for the Sefton, but
If he'd never run at Cheltenham, maybe I could see the reason.
I get
But
that.
I mean, he's run at Cheltenham and
He has.
won. I
over
don't know.
2.5.
Yeah, but I mean, you were kind of worried, how would he go at 3 miles? And if anything, he proved for it again. Like his time when beating Ian Maximus was quite good. And if you watch it back, I think what's really telling is how confident Richard Partridge is on him, where he doesn't even hit
Touch him with a whip.
He just,
No.
go on, pick him up, not a bother. You know, it was very impressive. And then Haydock, like Ruby's covers, the tactical, them putting it against the other races on the card. But when you look at the times there, it's unbelievable. He was 6 minutes 31.6, carrying 11.5, and his closing section was 50.8. He was like, the guts of 12 seconds quicker than Fuelon, who won the Pertemps, who was carrying 10 stone. And he was 9 seconds quicker than Holstone, who was carrying a pound less in the Rendlesham. And the interesting thing is his closing section was way faster. So not only did he go hard, he actually quickened. He's a brilliant horse. I hope he runs here, because if he runs to that sort of level, he will not be beaten in the Albert Bartlett. It's just whether he left his race behind today.
Okay. If he doesn't run and you can be quick, you're gonna lose your voice.
If he doesn't run, I'd be gutted.
Okay, so
The one thing I
Hillcrest
want
or-
other strong opinion in the race. Manila Crooner.
what price is that? Be gutted.
Manila Crooner, I couldn't have him.
Okay.
He's this year's
I
Fakira.
don't know
Okay.
what was going to win it. He didn't, he
Ruby,
didn't care whether
the
you were
Albert
good.
Bartlett. Albert Bartlett.
I'm in the Hillcrest camp. I'm in the Hillcrest camp as well.
Okay.
I'd be gutted if he doesn't run through.
Will you be gutted, Tony?
I'd be gutted.
Okay, Lydia will be gutted too. So Hillcrest is either a certainty or we're all going home early before the
That's
go.
it.
Hillcrest is a fantastic horse. I don't fancy I can't remember which one. The Crooner, because he makes mistakes,
Cocooner is
and the
Willie's horse.
Cocooner because I don't think he wants an all-out slog. I did quite fancy Hollow Games for this as a long-term bet, but I didn't like the way he ran at the Dublin Racing Festival, so I need to go back to the drawing board here. I wonder whether, if there isn't something brilliant in this race, and Hillcrest probably is it if he does run, could Staghorn run really well?
Yeah, horse the one in Warwick.
Because he's really neat over his hurdles. He's got a grizzled staying pedigree on the flat. He's got loads of experience. He's been taken out of the Ballymore. Archie Watson is definitely going for this race. I don't know. I think he could run well.
You kind of give it on that flat form sort of thing. Falcon 8's won a Chester Cup off 104. Now, he looked clueless at Leopardstown behind Manila Crooner, Journey with Me, Kilcrut. but I thought there was a bit to like about when he won a Thurles.
Shantrews is the other one of Henry's, the horse that won in Clonmel.
Yeah.
That one I had loads left as well. But
I mean, like, as in, if you're talking about Hillcrest is a potential Gold Cup horse,
Yes.
like, I don't think there's too much in there else that has that sort of class.
No.
For me, anyway.
That kind of horse can overcome a lot in this race. So.
I don't think people are crabbing is jumping, but he's not really losing momentum. You know what I mean? He's not like he's jumping and losing lengths and then going again. Like he's a bit unorthodox as some of them, but I think he's just I love him. I really love him.
Okay.
He's such a nice horse.
Take a breath. So we're starting with this side of the room on the Gold Cup. Okay, so the Gold Cup, it's we got A Plus Tard, and I want to start off with Galvin actually. Frank, I'll start with you. Galvin is just been tipped up everywhere. I mean, Galvin was like a stout 4 mile stayer, if you like, or whatever, and I didn't ever think was going to be a Gold Cup horse.
Well, I think at the start of the year, I think he was everyone's Grand National horse.
Yeah.
That's where they kind of envisaged him going, but he's just improved through the season. And I think if you're looking at it, for me, he's kind of the solid one that's going to run his race, and that might be good enough. But he's short enough now at 72 at the same time. I don't think there's anything, like, I'd be very surprised if he gets any shorter.
Do you think A Plus Tard will turn it around in that window?
No.
Do you think
I've never been a fan of A Plus Tard, to be honest with you. He wasn't good enough last year. Yeah, he was impressive at Haydock. What was that race though? Like, it was decent enough for Haydock ground.
I think, Frank, you're being a bit hard now. I mean, he wasn't good enough last year. He got beaten about a half a length, and he absolutely won a furlong in Haydock.
But go back to Haydock. It was goodish ground. Roy Guy doesn't go on it. Chatham Street lad finished third. The race fell apart at the same time. As good as he was, Bristol Demoy didn't run his race.
He was halfway down the M5 before they got to the winner. Before they got to the last.
But the race, I told you the reason why. Like, he was impressive. But I mean, he still got beaten at Leopardstown. He's not a superstar. He most definitely isn't a superstar. And like, again, he's 3-1 favourite.
Okay, on that, right, and I'll throw this open to the rest of you. So if he's not a superstar and he only got beaten half a length by Manella Indo,
a length and a quarter,
whatever it was, and the Irish horses seem to be beating each other this year, right? So there may not be a standout. Is it mad to think Protectorat could step up?
I don't know why. I just can't have Protectorat. I think he'll make mistakes in the early stages and he won't be able to hold his position. I don't know. I mean, he's been laid out to the race. I like the preparation. I like the profile as a second season chaser. All of those are positive things. I liked Galvin. Do I like him? I like Galvin at 7-2. I like Galvin at 6-1. But 7-2 second a galloper to go to Kempton and putting cheek pieces on it just didn't work, and then going a crazy pace. So I think, I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm worrying about the toll that the Gold Cup takes on horses that are coming back. But nonetheless, looking at that field, cold at those prices now, that's where I'd be going.
It's funny, I was in the parade ring after the race in Leopardstown, and the connections of Manella, you would think they'd won the race.
Yeah.
They were absolutely delighted. And also the horse had a massive bandage on one of his hind legs, and so obviously had a cut or so. Do you know what I mean? There was like, I think you could, I can't remember if you could see blood in my head now. I'm imagining a terrible situation, but like he obviously had picked up a knock or something. So I think that was probably a massive run.
Well, I think after Kempton, you're kind of thinking, Henry would be thinking, right, I've forced this, I've put cheek pieces on, he's run awfully. I think I know why he's run that badly, but they still wanted to see proof that their reasoning was correct, and I think they did get proof of that in the Irish Gold Cup.
And Tony, like say, I mean, is it crazy to think Alboom Photo could bounce back, or is he just he's had his turns?
No, I mean, this is not crazy, but I'm going for A Plus Tard, and this is strange. It's amazing how different people analyse races. I'm going for A Plus Tard for all the reasons that Frank says he can't win.
Yeah.
I thought he was brilliant in Haydock. He got beaten a short head by the giant favourite in Leopardstown at Christmas. He was very unlucky last year. Everything points to for me, to A Plus Tard. Frank is a very good analyst, and he says that everything that I say is the exact reason he won't win. So there's one of us going to be wrong. But I think A Plus Tard, for the reasons he thinks he'll get beat, is the reasons I think he'll win.
The 2 years belligerent with each other. Like, it's just because I want him to be wrong. Yeah. Ruby, final word to you in the Gold Cup.
I've been for school and blinkers, cheek pieces the other day. I imagine he'll wear them. And
why would he need them? Has he shown any reason to need them?
Need something to give him an edge.
Paul
doesn't he?
must have suggested it because the
change,
school didn't have him with them, and Paul said put them on him. So that's.
Did he jump back there?
I wasn't there. I think he did. Paul was happy with him. What do I think? I agree with Tony. I'd ride a Plutar.
Would you? Yeah.
I would. I think Galvin got a brilliant ride at Christmas. I think a Plutar was in the wrong place all the time. I think it's very easy to turn that result around. I would love to have saw Manila Indo Chase conflated all the way to the line in the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup. He didn't chase him. He pricked his ears halfway up the straight. A racehorse should. Horses are herd animals. He should have kept chasing after the horse in front, but he stopped.
So would that suggest that maybe he's
I don't
not
know.
quite as hungry as he was last year, type of thing?
Something. Pricked his ears and stopped halfway up the straight. Just be a little flag in my mind anyway.
Interesting.
I think a Plutar. I would be with a Plutar, yeah.
Frank, did I get your selection in the end?
No,
Can't remember.
from a price point of view, Tornado Flyer is priced as if the King
King
George
George
winning was
never
a fluke. You know what I mean? I think that's a dangerous assumption.
Looks like you're going on Friday, Tony.
Because, but if you think about it, like, as in it was only his second start ever at 3 miles. He'd run at Leopardstown, it didn't work out. In the Ryanair, he was one of the few who was able to kind of, travel within his comfort zone, and he finished off. Look, he's beaten a long way, but as a 3 miler, he's completely unexposed. We know he had the back class going back.
Do you think he won the King George then going away?
We know from analysing the sections that they went too hard and he was ridden more efficiently than the horses that were in front.
My son was brilliant, yeah.
Well, he was brilliant, yeah. Who did you learn that off of?
Is his run style suited to winning a Gold Cup?
Potentially not, but at the same time, like recently there's been a lot of horses who, started off at shorter trips, moving up. Like Sizing John, even at Plutar, when he won the novice handicap, you wouldn't have thought he was a Gold Cup horse at that time.
Greatest of them all, Frank.
Caught a star.
So, Tornado Flyer.
I just think from a price point of view, I think you have to back him because we don't know. Is he, he could potentially improve again for another quarter mile. And if he does, he's bang there. I don't think it was a fluke at Kenton. He was given a good ride, an efficient ride. But there's no reason why he couldn't improve again if he does. Like, the one thing I guarantee you, whoever wins this Gold Cup is not going to be rated 178. They're probably going to be rated 172.
Yeah.
And this will tell you the kind of Gold Cup it is. If Mount Ida ran here, I'd back her. I should know she's not going to. But that'll tell you the kind
Don't
of
be
Gold
annoying, Lydia.
but that's the kind of Gold Cup it is where...
Yeah, but so you say that, but Alboon Photo's won 2 and El Indo's won 1. So, I mean, there's 3 Gold Cups has been won.
Oh, no, but
that's 3 Gold
I'm
Cups.
not knocking Alboon Photo.
Yeah.
He's a lovely horse, but I mean, he's definitely regressed a tiny bit.
Yeah.
And you can't really regress at all if you want to win another Gold Cup.
Yeah. Okay. Tornado Flyer, Aplutard, Manila Inda. Okay, great. Right.
Prices. No.
The Hunter Chase. You can take a big breath, take a deep breath. Does anybody have an opinion on the Hunter's Chase? I actually don't know.
Bill away, third time lucky.
Bill, you tip every year. You tip a Bill away, and it never wins.
Third time lucky, never stay.
What did you say earlier, Tony? About you do the same thing all the time.
Yeah,
That doesn't
and
work.
expect the difference.
Yeah. So you tip Bill away every year.
Cheek pieces on this year.
Oh, does he? Okay.
I'll tell you, there was one that I don't know.
Put the blinkers on if I get my way.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's definitely going to run, but there's a mare called Highway Jewel, and she's beaten. I think she beat Porlock Bay last year, didn't she? In a point somewhere. Sorry, it was Hazel Hill she hammered. She just interests me at a price. Now, I'm not sure if she's the intended runner, but if she's in the 5 days.
Highway Jewel.
Highway Jewel, yeah.
Okay, Graham, we'll keep an eye on it. Tony, you no opinion on this, do you? The Hunter
Maybe
Chase.
know it has been run.
Right.
No, I don't have my notes. I didn't get my notes written down. I'm pretty sure she beat a couple of useful
Tony, I'm going to stick with you for the Mare's Chase, right? This is where you have a chance to really, really annoy Lydia, or to stay loyal to your... We've got Ellie May is running up against Mount Ida, the two, and Concertista as well is going to run here probably, isn't it? So I mean, it's got the look of a proper race, like it really does.
Yeah, this is where last year John Finn's mare wiped me out, Colreevy. I thought Ellie May was the absolute... And sure, obviously, Colreevy was just a way better mare than I had assessed. Ellie May is the rock-solid one. Concertista is going to be a Willie Mullins winner. There'll be nothing near the two of them. If Concertista, can transform it to chases. But Ellie May is, a smashing little mare. If people saw her, how small to her, she's fantastic. And I'd say she's going to take all the beating here. Concertista beating a short head in the Mayor's Novice Hurl on her first run over hurdles. So, I mean, she's a very, very good mare. But Ellie May is going to take some whacking.
It's funny, I was at a dinner in London last week, and Mick Fitz was hosting a bit of a walk around the room. There was all a lot of racing heads were there, and asked AP, give us one for the week or whatever. And Ellie May is the one he said. He didn't say why or anything, but that was the one he picked out of all the JP ones.
Well, she's very rock solid. Everywhere she turns up, if she doesn't win, she's beaten a half a length. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm surprised
she's an
they did
amazing
like a
little mare.
25 to 1 shot in the handicap.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah.
So, Lydia, this must be an easy race for you, Lydia, because you've got a line of massive red marker through one of the...
Well, Frank's made the point about that they were saying that there was a back issue after the Kim Mule from last year, so I do have to bear that in mind. But they have raced their own Mount Ida only right-handed since then. I thought Ellie May was having a really bad season and that things had not gone well. But then, first time, she looked much more like her old self. That said, she didn't need to run to the best of her form in order to win last time. So I'm kind of taking that on just my eyes that that she looked back to her old self. I'm worried about the track for Concertista. I think she's a mustard jumper, but she is low. And I just feel that there might be one or two that potentially catches her out. So I think Ellie May's the likeliest winner. I do think Zambella will run better than she did last year. She was staying on into things with Ellie May and Colreevy taking each other on when she took a tumble. I think it was 3 out. She's in much better form this season. She's shown that she doesn't need to lead. She's shown that she doesn't need to go right-handed. She's shown that she's not so low over her fences. And I think she's probably a bit bigger than she should be and could hit the frame. But if we're talking about a winner, I'm probably going with Ellie May. But it's just got some... There's something that's making me uneasy about this race. I can't really make a strong argument for any single one of them. I feel like there's something nagging away for each one.
Okay, is that something nagging away? Is that Mount Ida, Frank?
Yeah. Should be very worried about her. Colreevy,
I am much more worried about her than I was at the start of this show.
Well, firstly, and I'm not really one to criticise jockeys, but you better hope Mark Walsh doesn't do what he did last year and sit on the outside of Mount Ida if she is jumping right. There's no doubt that cost Ellie May the race. Yeah. Like if he'd taken a pull and gone in inside, I think she would have won. Are you watching? Not that I've ever ridden a horse, but I think it's clear.
Agreed.
If he'd done that. But for me, Mount Ida is just improving. I don't think the jumping is as much of an issue this year. I know she hasn't been left-handed, and we'll find out. But she beat Ellie May. She's going to be £3 better off. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to be very hard. Genuine. Like I'm not lying. Where if she ran the Gold Cup, I'd back her. That's how good I think she is.
Do you think Ellie May was in the same kind of form when she met Mount Ida?
No, maybe not. But I mean,
they've met twice.
Three
Ellie
times.
May's once and Mount Ida's in there.
Cheltenham, Punchestown, and
No, didn't meet in Cheltenham because Mount Ida ran the Kim Muir. They went to Ferryhouse then, and Ellie May beat Mount Ida, and then they went to Ferryhouse and.
I just think that Mount Ida is kind of progressing what Ellie May is like plateaued. That's the way I read it.
That is possible. That is possible.
But I just think Mount Ida.
Strong on Mount Ida.
I would be very keen on it.
Anyway.
It's strong.
I think she'll win. I think the cheap pieces are the making of her. As Tony said, she's tiny. She is small. Now, she's well built and she's able to carry a bit of weight, but she is small. And I think
Colreevy was just brilliant last round.
She was very good. And she went then back to Punchestown and beat Envoy Allen and Monkfish. But I just think cheap pieces on Ellie May bring about the difference.
Well, they worked twice, the tongue tie and the cheap pieces. Because I mean, she wasn't running so
she
well
needs
in the early part.
A bit of gusto to jump. She's careful, and the cheap pieces definitely made her a bit braver.
Okay.
This cheap piece is amazing. How many sets of me you have to buy down there?
Just the one set they share them, do they?
The one thing I would say is that
we share the whole sheep. I think we robbed it out of your place.
It looks like there's about 5 of them there that you suddenly cheap pieces.
Photo. And it's only all on Friday as well. Album photo.
Go down to the Lord Bagnall next week and find out about this.
Yeah. The one thing I would say is I'd be pretty sure Concertista is going to drift.
Yeah.
And that the margin will probably flow into Ellie May and Mount Ida.
So you're saying whichever one you fancy,
Yeah,
they'll be short on the day.
I think Concertis is going to be.
So it could be like 6-4 each of 2 type of thing.
4-1, 9-2 would be what I'm thinking. Concertis.
Okay, that's interesting. The lucky last race is the Martin Pipe.
Ruby.
Yeah. So this
25 to 1 winner, please.
He tips up to 25 to 1
Yeah.
winner this every single year.
Yeah.
So Langer Dan is the one that nearly got the bonus, isn't it?
I think the British handicapper's back to Manti-Post for the Martin Pipe.
Why is it such a?
He dropped in £3 from the run in Taunton.
But so he's chucked in as why he's 4-1 favourite.
He should not have been dropped.
Yeah.
Simple as that, shouldn't have been dropped.
And Ruby, you're saying State
Took
Man,
it
you're
off
not sure.
Langer Dan and put it on to Tiger Road. Yeah. Cool.
State Man, you're saying you're not sure
I'm
here
not sure
or the county
here
or
or the
whatever.
county.
But
The
good
one,
horse.
I think he's a good horse, but I think the one that is it's 11 to 1, it's not 25 to 1, and it's Sam Thomas's. It's good risk at all. I think this track is made from 2 miles and 5, not that much jumping. I think he jumped better at Ascot in his last start. He was hopeless on his first start at Chepstow. Wasn't much better behind John Bonn and Newbury. Was a little better at Warwick and was definitely better at Ascot. And I think 2 miles and 5 on the new course. I wouldn't fancy him in the Corran Cup. I would fancy him in this.
Good risk at all.
Can't jump.
Can't jump.
He jumped all right the last day, didn't he? It was much better than Warwick.
It was much better.
Of course, I backed him at Warwick.
2 hurdles in the last 7 furlongs, isn't it?
It is. I know, but there's still hurdles.
There's still hurdles
Not a
before
bumper.
it.
Lydia, any view?
No view.
No.
No
Tony?
view. Apart from randomly opposing with
Yeah,
Ruby.
exactly.
No view.
Yeah. Apart from that one, has no chance. But I haven't looked at the race, but
Apart
that's
from that,
no
no view
chance.
whatsoever.
Tony.
Again, I say just watch the riders here. This is a claimer's race. If you have an opinion that a good rider is riding a horse with a chance,
should give you confidence.
For Tony,
it makes a huge
for
difference.
people at home who wouldn't maybe be aware of some of the better claimers.
Oh, Jack Foley is just unreal. And then you have Jordan Gainford and Fitzgerald. What's it? Shane. They're the 3. And is there one in England?
Oh, I'm not going to be drawn on that.
Oh, there
That's
was
gonna be
one I
invidious.
spotted today who only came my radar. I didn't even go look for him. You just yap away and I'll try and find
Where
him.
was he riding?
Frank,
I'm
we're
trying
going
to-
to ask everybody. I know I've got your naps, but I'm actually going to ask you for your nap and your second best for the festival, right? So just have a think for a second because I'm going to
have to
ask
think
Frank
about
for the
second
enhancement while he's still working there. Can you double job there?
My enhancement is
For the Friday.
Plutard 3 to 1, 4 to 1.
Sorry,
Plutard 3 to 1 to 4 to 1.
Plutard 4 to 1. Okay, for the Gold Cup. That's lovely. Now I'm. Are we ready to give our naps and stuff yet? Have I given you a good 15 seconds there?
Mr. Toby Wynn was the fellow I came across today. I
Is
just-
that the nap?
he might actually be one for the amateur races, yeah.
Mr. Toby
Even
Wynn.
don't mind the Caniston, but
Okay.
like he was just one I came on my radar today that his strike rate's quite good and he's new on the scene. As
Okay.
far as I can see, I know nothing about him, but
Okay.
just for people, even for the amateur races.
Stop talking and give me your nap and your next best.
Party Central to burst the Dino Blue bubble and Hillcrest.
And Hillcrest.
Non-runner.
If he's a non-runner, full back in the Ultima.
Yeah. Okay. And if you want, you can obviously do a double or whatever you want to do. What do you want to do, Ruby?
Alaho's definitely the nap, but he's no price. I think at a price, I think Stormy Island will win. She's 11 to 2, and each way. Move on there. Come back to me.
Right.
Oh, are you asking for an each way? Or
Well, it's whatever. Like I just want.
Dino Blue is my best bet of the
I'm
week.
just trying to get my tips together for myself.
Dino Blue.
This is what we got to do with the preview.
My next best is probably Tell Me Something.
We stopped
Girl.
recording ages ago.
Capadano in the Brown Advisory.
What?
Capadano.
Capadano. Oh yeah, sure. Capadano in the old Orsa. Yeah. Okay.
The
Dino.
Brown Advisory.
The Brown Advisory. Sorry, the Festival Novice Chase.
Yeah.
Now, Lydia, is your second one, please.
Was Tell Me Something Girl.
Tell me something, girl. Okay. Time for the 2 mares races.
I have, yeah, weird.
Very good. Tony,
That's
come
very
on.
unusual.
Jeez.
My banker is Dino Blue.
Yeah.
Next best then is Galopin de Champs, which is a bit boring, but I mean
Yeah.
he is
I just
the.
hate people that like losing money.
And then I have.
All 3.
If my each way bet is if I don't think Hillcrest is going to run from what I read on the paper. If he doesn't, Minetta Cocooner, who they're all looking over after winning the Grade 1 in Leopardstown.
Okay, fine. Now, I want to ask you quickly, I know nobody really cares that much about the Press Cup, but just as a matter of interest, 23 winners for Ireland last year, higher or lower?
Lower slightly.
Ooh, it has to be lower. Sure, the whole game is up, but like Ireland are way superior. Whether hopefully.
Judging by tonight, we didn't tip up that many British horses, did we?
I think it could go 18-10.
Yeah.
The handicapper is definitely trying to give English horses
3-10,
a chance. Now, my worry with it is that a lot of the unexposed novices actually have ratings that might not get them into the races.
Yes.
You know, the ones that are hiding something.
Yeah, it's about
that would be
time
the
we've
concern.
gone back that way.
But that is the concern now with them. You know, like say, even take Ian Maximus as an example. If he did run the Car Cup, he might not even get in. But he's definitely trying to give them a good chance.
Yeah. So you reckon there'll be more British winners?
I'd be very surprised if it's 23-5.
So sure, could be 3-0 up after the first 3 races.
No.
The English with Edward Stone and
John Bond, Constitution Hill.
Constitution Hill or John Bond the first, and then
Maybe something in the ultimate.
That's a very interesting fact. Now, you were going through collateral form, and that, or I don't know, did I mention it, that Constitution Hill has beaten, I think, in my quick summation, that he's only beaten one horse that has won a Catterick Maiden Hurling.
No, shall we have one more? Won a Sandown novice and was
Yeah,
beaten
but that
in the
form of that
Dovecot.
didn't work out either.
Yeah, he was beaten in the Dovecot
And a
last
Manila
weekend.
horse
Probably
won
the-
2 chases.
but he beat
but
them
just-
18 lengths.
He did, all he can do is beat them,
Yeah.
but for a real hot pot, he's beat nothing.
Well,
Now, he beat them well.
As I said, John
he's beat
Bond's
nothing.
achieved more than what he's beaten. Like, as in,
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
no
he
doubt about
has.
it. It's just like
John Bonner has achieved a
the
lot
difference
more
is
on their form.
he had to kind of get down and dirty a little bit at Haydock, and he proved he could.
And he did
we
do
don't
it.
know what Constitution will do if he has to
Yeah.
battle. He might
could
just improve again.
Yeah.
But he
Has
might.
he the Constitution?
Yeah, but the thing is,
Or a hill?
And Will the Hill? Oh, no,
He's meant to be a bit freaky, isn't he? He's the kind of horse that apparently falls asleep when we bring him to the racecourse and he has a nap in his box. He's just that laid back, apparently.
Well, he hasn't been there that often, so I mean, it's yeah,
Right.
You know, he's
He not
character
having
might be known.
We do have a couple of questions from the viewers. Question for all panel members: what horse would be your lay of the festival?
Brandy Love,
Yeah,
Mayor's novice,
absolutely.
absolute
Me
Brandy
thinking
Love.
too, yeah. Brandy Love, absolutely.
Wouldn't wish bad luck on anyone.
That's a bad luck. It's just what you think is the prices.
It's the
you know,
wrong
too
price.
short
It's not
and-
bad luck.
You want a lace, you want to get a beat.
Tony, any bad value?
I don't have, and I usually do have 4 or 5, but
Yeah.
I don't see anything like over the last few years, and I'm not afraid to say it
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I have one, but I don't see anything that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin Ward for Ruby, is Grangy going for the Mayor's novice? Yeah. Okay, that was quick. Daniel Steer, last year Ruby gave us Galopin des Champs as his best handicapped horse. What's his best handicapped horse this year?
I'd say Stateman is, but he doesn't have the same experience as Galopin des Champs. Galopin des Champs had 1 in France prior to having 3 runs in Ireland for Willie. And Stateman doesn't have the same experience Galopin des Champs has, but he will ultimately be a better than 141 horse.
Okay, and he's like whatever 5-1 or something, whatever race he gets in.
Well, the difference is he's a bit similar to San Rob, but San Rob was 14-1 the day before the county.
Yeah.
And then he got backed in. You know, so
Yeah. But he might you could drift. Who knows? Karen Russell Ruby, if there's one horse you could ride this festival, who would you choose? Shishkin and or Honeysuckle. Actually, it's a good question. There's a
I'd
few.
ride Honeysuckle.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
First day, 70,000 people who weren't there last year. It'll be like a rock festival, I'd say.
It's funny that I
on
never
Tuesday.
thought of it that way.
It'll be
Tuesday's going to be awesome.
The place
isn't
will
it?
be
Like,
absolutely buzzing. I've no interest in being a jockey anymore, so I don't want to be waiting until Friday to have this ride. So we get it out of the way on Tuesday. Right, Honeysuckle.
Yeah.
Win the
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
literally drop the mic.
can I ask you a different version of that question? The interest people. What horse over 5-1 would you like to ride?
I hated riding horse that were over 5-1. I love riding them when they were 1 to 5.
Okay, I have
That
to
was my idea of a good riding job. It was 5-1 on.
Okay, I have to remind you about our Rewind show. That's with it's gone out on. I have it back here. It's on my script from ages ago. The Rewind show on Wednesday night. We'll be broadcasting our Cheltenham Rewind show with Paul Carberry and Ruby Walsh on Virgin Media 2 at 11 p.m. and also on the Paddy Power YouTube channel. So don't miss it. That's really good. And the Fan Zone. Oh yeah, we have to talk about that. Anyone's around Dublin next week, if you don't have plans for the double bank holiday, Thursday, Friday, get down to our Cheltenham Fan Zone in the Camden. There's a limited number of tickets available, so have a look online and get them. And Paddy Power Cheltenham Later this week, we filmed a Cheltenham quiz, pre-Cheltenham quiz. Ruby was there. It was great bit of crack, and it's worth a watch. And that's going to go out later this week at some stage, whenever the lads get the racing gear and edit the thing. So that's worth a watch as well. That's going to be on the Paddy Power social channels. And I think that's it. That's it. Great. Thanks very much, guys. That was good. I think we got there only about 6 hours. Thought it was going to be half an hour, the whole thing, but we got there in the end. So thanks very much, and enjoy next week, everybody. Thanks for watching. Good luck.